Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Taken back by Palat. Palat still with him, moves in close to the McLeod. Backhand scores! Michael McLeod! And it's 1-0. What a play by Andre Palat.
Jokic has it for three. Got it! Right back. Nuggets are within three, 71-68. And Joker, for 3/4 of play, has put the Denver Nuggets on his back here.
9 seconds on the shot clock. Harden for three. Shot up. It's good. Harden made a triple. The Sixers go up by 2. 8 seconds to go. Boston takes time. Sixers 117. Celtics 115.
Look back. Now the pitch. And Kim swings. Hits it in the air. Deep to left field. Fairchild back. Gonna go! Just over the left field wall. A line drive. 3-run home run. And the Padres back in front, 6-3.
Here's the pitch. Swanson swings, hits one in the air, deep left field, going back call at the track near the wall. He leaps. It's gone. Dansby Swanson with a 2-run home run for the Cubs. They're now up 4-1 over the Nationals.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Betts. A high fly ball to left center field. It's way back there, and it is gone. A home run. Mookie, a home run. His 5th of the year. The Dodgers' 4th of the night. And now they lead it 11-4.
Good morning, Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. He's Damon Benning. I'm Andrew Rogers. We're happy to have you with us wherever you're listening. 590 here in Omaha. We're live on Twitter right now. Live on YouTube if you want to see our bright and shining faces.
Not yours. You're not there.
Not me? Well,
that's
Shane,
funny.
There he goes.
I know.
There he goes.
He is the star of the show. We got to figure out, maybe he can be like the sugar cube, or I don't know, the caramel and the macchiato.
Well, somebody made the comparison. Sam is the caramel in our coffee.
Oh, Sammy Mack.
So it can't be Shane, the sugar cube.
Sam that we kept for 2 hours and 26 minutes yesterday.
Is Shane the whipped cream?
A little soft.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Hey, I just want to know, are you guys going?
Are you guys going?
No, see, Shane's the whipped cream because he always comes out on top. Somehow, some way, he's always coming out on top.
Kind of weird, laying in the cut. Yeah. So how were things?
Things could be better. Yesterday, I dropped a good portion of money on some lawn equipment because I had to mow the yard. I was telling you, I was trying to get a service to get out there just to do it when I went on vacation. And then I was going to decide if I stick with the service or if I spend the money. And nobody really got back. I called a bunch of people, and I guess I'm probably late to the party. They probably already have the lawns booked up.
By about 5 weeks, I'd say.
Right. So it's probably my fault that no one called me back.
My guy's going to take care of you, though, right?
I guarantee. And your guy's going to come out and take care.
Yeah.
So that's great. This week I'll get some grass seed laid down and some dead spots in the backyard. There's also some spots where grass just doesn't grow.
Yeah.
It's so shaded. The way the sun moves, it just doesn't hit that part of the grass well.
TikTok. Sand, potting soil, grass seed mixture. I am now it's not a herbologist. I think those are people that probably smoke dope, but herbologists. Wait, who are the grass people? Are they horticulturalists? Somebody told me like 2 years ago when I was worried about trees. I think they're arbologists, but I think the people that do grass. What? By the way, what is an herbologist? I better probably figure that out. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if they're
Google. I think they're like, the ag people. Where's my man Tim? Once Tim went to Colorado, man, he stopped talking to me enough. Tim used to, we used to talk soap and toothpaste and lotion.
Herbologist is a thing.
Yeah, I probably
herbology is a thing.
What is herbology?
Okay, there's a herbal. They're called herbalists.
Is that the grass people?
Well, no. This is herbologists are actually herbalists.
So what do they do?
They treat a variety of physical conditions, illnesses, and allergies through the holistic use.
Witch doctors. Cool. I watched a movie on that the other day.
I thought he produced the afternoon show.
couple of Saturdays ago. Oh, that's right. Herbal Essence.
Nice work.
It's very nice.
Always coming out on top.
Yeah, whip of cream. Dude, these cushions that our boss brought are sensational.
They're fantastic.
Like
I sat down today and I thought, ooh,
they don't seem like much
until you sit on them.
But they're legit.
But we were sitting on this pad for 4 months, so now we know
this
what the
might
real
be
pad
like
feels
the new thing,
the new cushion.
What do you think? More
it's cooling too.
So I think that's our minds, or is that a real thing?
I don't know. I sat down again and I'm like, ooh, it feels nice.
Yeah, that's kind of okay, for sure.
It's like sitting on a marble countertop.
Okay, to TMI. When's the last time you've been on a marble countertop, Ruru?
Oh, I just like to pop up there and chill sometimes.
Yeah, coffee and cream. Yeah, so I can't even remember what I was going to say because, as per usual,
herbalist, herbologist.
Yeah, so who are the grass people? Are they horticultural people? Whatever they are.
Can you spell that for me?
HORTI.
Okay.
It get you there.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
Say it again, my bad.
Yeah, exactly.
An expert in garden cultivation and management.
Yeah, so you know what I am. So you know what you should just do.
You're crazy.
Me?
That's what you are.
No, I am.
You said you know what I am. I said you're crazy.
Yeah, very much so.
Who talks about a horticulturist?
Because if you come by the house, the grass is so plush and so green. It's
we walk by it a lot.
It's mind-boggling.
When we walk the neighborhood, we always kind of peek down the street and we see the west side sign. I think it's the Caleb Benning sign. And
so one of my buddies just kind of walked through the front door like a month ago during dinner because he recognized the sign and he'd been looking for where I live. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I should do you a solid. Come back over to your place. Got any hot tubs or anything over there?
Sure he's a buddy or a stalker?
No, he's a good dude. He's a good dude. His son is being heavily recruited. He's pretty
but
okay.
He was looking for where you live.
Yeah, maybe he's just having
a bad day. Like, I'm just going to go out for a drive tonight. We're going to find out where DJ lives.
Maybe he was having a bad day. I don't know. He wanted a friend. I'm probably kind of, like I got to be in the mood, or you have to be a kid. Mm-hmm. If you're a kid, I get your shirt off.
See, I have those people.
Adults, I'm very, very.
I have those people that can walk into my house, but I don't know if I could have just like a friend of mine that's like not super close with me walk into my house.
That's fine. I mean, it's not really my style, but I do need to grow up in some areas. I probably should. Or
lock your doors.
I do need. Yeah.
You take it up a notch.
I'm just okay with that. I need to be better.
About allowing people into your house?
No, locking
your door. No. You're only okay with that? You don't lock it every time you go to bed?
With my house, I'm sensational.
Okay.
With the truck, it's kind of sketch. Because I don't carry my keys typically. So I use my phone to unlock and lock the
I get it.
The vehicle.
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't like things in my pocket.
So okay.
So back to your grass.
That's interesting. Yeah, back to my grass.
Not really.
Got those red bottoms, huh?
It could be worse.
Life is good.
The sprinklers were on when we were walking in, and some guy was edging out front. And I'm
not running my sprinklers for a month.
Well, I have to run mine just so I can mark them for your guy.
I'm gonna try to hold off. I have my water pressure too. I just don't want to wake up one day and have like a $400 water bill. But according to Jay Rich, Hockey Dad, he said that you can. I didn't know you could do this for water, but I guess you can get on a budget bill pay thing.
He explains it how he knows how to explain it.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. How do you explain that?
So I guess they take an average, kind of like you would do OPPD, which I've done before. And like you get an average, and then that's just what your bill is. And I think you settle up at the end of the year, like over under something. I mean, generally speaking,
I'm sure. Yeah, there's kind of a way to get a loan per se on your water bill.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like life is good.
Something
I did figure out where I got a valve, like water pressure. I didn't really tinker with it.
I don't like to touch those things because I don't know what's going on.
No, I know. No, 100%.
Well, I went down to my sprinkler system in the basement yesterday and I hit manual start because I'm like, this has to work, right? Nothing happened. And I said,
there's one more thing you got to hit outside. I watched my guy do it, but I don't know what it was.
Ooh, see, I picked up the phone and I said, I'm calling somebody.
He went outside and he did one thing and then he came inside and he did another. And then it was like, then he checked all the heads and it was whatever.
That dude's a baller.
Yeah, he was a baller.
Yeah.
One of the coolest.
They know more than me.
He was super cool. Like I said, hey, can you be my guy all the time? Because I'm totally like that. Like,
oh man,
just like I told you to go to Ty's Outdoor Park. Like whoever my guys are my guys.
Right.
Like I don't deviate. And my house guy is busy about to be a dad. So
thanks, guys.
This dude's been flaking and perpetrating. Scared to be in my reality.
Or you're scared to lose him. One of the two.
Yeah, he comes and goes. He's like Casper. Good, great dude. Like best, like one of the few people from like my past that I like see all the time.
Are you talking to a ghost?
I used to.
I think Casper overstayed his welcome though.
He was still friendly.
Very friendly.
I could use some friends. And you've got a friend. By the
You
way,
have plenty of friends.
Hey, by the way, it's overrated.
Really?
Oh, for sure, 100. Especially as I get older.
Okay, so definition of friend then, because you have a lot of people.
Yeah, totally.
So
like that I would
that
I would confide in. Very few.
Got it. Okay, so that's
few.
the standard.
Yeah,
that's what you have to meet.
Everybody else is just an associate. Unless if you make it to like double-digit years, like some of my high school guys, like all those guys are in the deal.
Would you ever confide in Shane?
Yeah, Shane and I have had some serious talks.
And that's totally on me.
Yeah, we've had
What's some advice that Shane gave you before?
A leader. Don't buy foreign.
In regards to cars?
I think that's just his general premise. When I fish and I'm in like a paddle boat, make sure I stay towards the middle.
Wait, don't buy foreign. Shane, what was your old car?
He lucked into that.
That's no big deal.
Go ahead, put him deep, liquid.
Selfish.
What's in your old car? A foreign car? Am I wrong?
You don't point the finger, you point the thumb.
I know he's got an American car now.
He's old enough to now make better choices.
Okay.
Don't put that crap on me.
Kind of like Shesterkin, man. Everything just passes on by.
Shesterkin.
He keeps on passing.
How about the goalie on the other
by.
side, Akira Schmid?
Yeah, Schmid was outstanding. He outpucked the pucker.
Akira Schmid.
What did he stop? 31 of them? 30?
31, I think.
31.
He was the product of the Sioux City Musketeers.
Well done on your anthology series.
And Akira was somebody I covered when I was up there. And this dude, I mean, he was.
Was that the Jedi, Shane, the female that looked like a raccoon? She had like the raccoon cap on. What was her name?
She's got the new series coming out.
Is it Akira?
I don't think that's her name. That's actually a Japanese.
Are we talking about Keisei?
Animation movie.
Oh,
yeah, but you're probably talking about that.
Wow, really?
Akira.
Keisei?
Well, it's Japanese Steph Curry.
Wait, is he coming back?
I hope.
Dude, Nebraska got a good off season. It went from doom and gloom to, hey, I think we're going to be okay.
Well, they made some noise. About that. Yeah, they made some noise. We'll get into that. But back on Akira Schmid, you know why he plays goalie? This is what he told us in an interview one time.
Too big.
He plays goalie because he said he sucked at scoring. So that's why he chose goalie. Seems to be pretty good at playing goalie.
Yeah. Well, and again, Shesterkin was. It's such a cruel sport, man. Like the regular season is so in the rear window. Mm-hmm. It's not even funny.
Would you say the Rangers failed in regards to all the moves they made?
Hey, listen, Eric. You asked me that already, Eric. Still going to be one of the greatest press conferences ever to have crazy people debate. Like fully grown hair Nick Wright.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, here's a breakdown of the Rangers in Boston this year. Okay, because they basically made transactions to win.
Yeah, tell them. Hey, Giannis is talking to you.
There's no failure in sports.
Well, I mean, maybe just with that quote, it could be.
Hey, should we change his name to Eric?
You asked me the same question last year.
No, Eric. I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Hey, can you play that one more time?
You asked me the same question last year, Eric.
Edwick.
That's his name.
Edwick.
Stop making fun of the Greek freak.
All right, the Rangers gave up Sammy Blais, Hunter Skinner, a first-round pick in 2023, a second-round pick in 2023.
Shane, did you catch the Beyblade reference?
2023.
I don't know.
Vitaly Kravtsov.
Kravtsov?
I'm going to go with that. And a 2024 third-round pick.
Yeah. Mortgage the farm.
Bruins gave up Craig Smith, a 2023 first-round pick, a 2024 protected first-round pick, a 2025 second-round pick, and a 2024 third-round pick. Oh, also a 2025 fourth-round pick. And neither made it out of the first round.
The Bruins' future from a drafting standpoint took a little bit of a hit.
And they're old.
Now, I think the Rangers are going to be okay. Now, I'm afraid to say anything remotely sketchy about the Bruins because they win a lot, and it doesn't seem to matter. So I'm going to leave them alone because that's a good franchise. Now, the Rangers are bordering on the. Is this gonna? They remind me a little of the Brewers.
In what way?
Well, and probably closer to the White Sox when the White Sox had the young phenoms with Mancada and Eloy Jimenez and
sure.
So we're kind of inching closer to this the year. Hey, keep an eye on the Rangers, and I think they won like 46 games or something like that. So they're not scrub buckets. 47, I don't know. By the way, you know how I'm weird with numbers like that. I'm watching a show that's not even really remotely well written. But I'm kind of vibing with it because I want to see if I can figure out what she's figuring out.
What's the show?
It's not good, so don't laugh. Because I watch a lot of bad shows. It's called Unforgettable.
Unforgettable.
Yeah, and I think the lady's name is Poppy Montgomery or Paige Poppy or I don't know, something like that.
Poppy Seed?
There's some Poppy in there. I used to know a Poppy. She used to cut my kids' hair.
Carrie Wells.
Carrie Wells is the detective's name.
Okay.
But her real name as an actress.
Poppy Montgomery. Nice work.
Poppy Montgomery. I knew there's Poppy in there. I know Shane was thinking fields and seeds, but
wow.
We like to try to pass drug tests around here, Shane, so stay off of those bagels and muffins.
I figured you were talking about.
When you weigh $1.04 and you eat a poppy seed muffin, you're officially failing your drug test.
Got to start chugging cranberry juice.
I don't know.
Over there.
How would you know?
I've heard.
Andrew Rogers here for Golden Seal.
Well,
hey, does that stuff work?
I
don't know, man. Hey, I'm on my second gallon, man. I got to go to the bathroom.
I know a few people that did that.
What?
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
That makes no sense.
I know.
But it is good to hear Brian Edwards. I have no idea.
The quarterback situation that we'll talk about today.
So man, that's like the hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said in my lineup, because I got it out on time. I've been doing pretty well.
On time.
Yeah. Like I feel like I would get the good old Andrew Rogers attaboy.
Got him!
Job well. Thank you.
I'll give you that.
Job well done.
Because normally I
Good
start
and
talking
faithful
to you,
servant.
and then you start talking to me. Show starts, and you're like, I didn't finish this yet.
You're like, that's something that never used to happen in my former life. Like I got to the point where I would get there at the last minute. So there wasn't a lot of pre-convo.
Conversing.
Yeah, but it was like it could have run on autopilot.
Flying autopilot.
Which
don't need no stylus.
Okay. See, every now and then you hit me with like a backdoor slider, and it's like
stiff arm.
I don't think it's kind of shocking because you like on the surface you seem like you have all equal sides and 490-degree angles, but every now and again you change it up on me, and I don't mean a rectangle. Collide. It's a song. Okay. I tell you that twice a week. Knock it off, Pocket Hercules.
Twice a week? No. Over. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over.
You know what it's for, right?
What? And he's like, this is for the bourbons and the Cadillacs. So stupid.
You know what it is, right?
It just is.
You know what it is, right?
How many times are you going to say that?
I'm not going to respond. So if you want to know it, because he's asking me these questions like he's going to give me a real answer,
right.
and he never does.
No, he'll
so probably says more about me for falling for it.
Do you hate it?
I hate when he does that. Is he funny?
Hey, whipped cream.
No. I'm gonna drink out of my kitty cup. Have some water. So the Rangers are maybe not rapidly, but kind of approaching 2017-ish Chicago White Sox young talent.
I can see that.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And they added veteran pieces, but
Shesterkin is still a stud.
Oh, and he'll stay a stud.
You know,
it's like Vasilevsky. He's still a stud, even though they're not there.
Wait, who?
Mm-hmm. What? When?
Yeah, a lot of guys chilling at the house. I'm telling you, man. There's a reason that trophy is so heavy.
Well, it's a good thing he isn't chucking it down like Travis Kelce.
Do you know what's interesting? I'm kind of a TK guy, and he's never even played for a team I like. But I like Kelce.
I vibe with Kelce. I was at the bars after the draft on Saturday.
I'm shocked.
And
did they have any zip line? Did you have a Kolsch?
They didn't have that down
how
in KC.
How about a beer?
But we will get into the zip line sports six-pack later on today. Kelce showed up at this Power and Light nightclub Mosaic a couple of days.
Did he have on the white button up with the?
He had some fancy
Eric Cartman. Respect my authority.
He had some.
What's his brother?
Design.
Hey, nobody's talking to you right now.
Jason wasn't there. Jackson Mahomes was there though. I almost wanted to leave.
He's everywhere. Like I thought we were supposed
Dude
to
acted like he owned the place.
Shocker. How about? Isn't he supposed to be like banned from 30 places there now?
I wish he was banned from every place in Kansas City. But Kelce, when he listens to like the music that gets played, I went with a couple of buddies that know like every word to hip hop songs. Like that's all they listen to. They're in the car. They travel. That's what they do. I'm a podcast guy, so I like beats more than I like the lyrics.
Yeah.
And I wish I knew the lyrics because I feel like since I have no skill dancing,
you seem like the type of dude that would go out there and fake it.
Oh, that's all I do.
Yeah,
No doubt to me about that. That's what Kelce is, though.
Hitch.
Kelce is the guy. He is snap right.
Hey, listen.
Snap right.
Stay
But he'll
right
just
here.
Go like this.
Stay right here. See, he
is-
knows. He
is
listened
him.
to Hitch.
Mhm.
I like that because that's what people. That's what I would
He
do.
finger guns it, and he just like rocks like you're running track.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Kelsey's got so much swag. It's like he could go out there and try to moonwalk, and people will fawn. And he's a good-looking dude. So
People
it's like-
fawn just seeing him walk through there. Now I don't know how he. Well, I guess I do, but I just he has so much energy.
Mhm.
Like, how do you not get tired? Like, you go
It's
back
like-
and you work the next
He's
day.
like Drake.
Like, I just don't understand how he can
got a lot of energy.
He can still be this great.
Wait for me.
Put in all this work every single day,
Day
and
after
not
day
be
after
fatigued.
day.
Yeah, or maybe it's like a little search and rescue. That's another Drake reference. This man is low key, like pleading with Kim Kardashian through music. Like, why do people do that? The Taylor's like, stop talking to me through your music. And he's begging. It doesn't have to be as popular as me. I just need, ooh, mama, I think of you. Search and rescue. Search. And then Kim's line, I didn't, blah, 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 blah. Ooh, are Drake and Kim a thing? Ooh. No, I do like the song, though. Search and rescue. Google it.
Future's great.
Future's, yeah, I like Future. Got his red bottoms on.
Drake, Future.
Shane, life is good. You know what I mean?
Know what I mean?
Wait, are Drake and Future different people?
Yes.
Okay. See, that's how much I know about hip hop.
That's probably accurate.
But they did the album together, right?
They have a couple of collabs, as the
Okay.
kids like to say. Kinda.
I'll admit I didn't know that.
By the way,
I
there are
didn't know
like
they were saying
it's 7:23. There are like 4 colleges in town already. Yeah, back on the recruiting trail. I'm kind of curious how it's going.
Well, I'm sure you'll get updates.
For my kid, not a chance. Listen, not a chance. He'll tell me.
We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Hey, welcome back. We'll be talking to Brandon Vogel at 7:45, so stick around for that. He is coming your way next. Then at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock, we are talking to Eddie Garcia, Fox Sports Radio Network anchor. We'll hit him with some hockey questions. He's also a huge Pirates fan. So maybe, just maybe, he'll want to talk about his Bucks leading the NL Central. And then at 9 o'clock, as we do every Tuesday, we'll talk to Joel Lorenzi, the Creighton beat writer for the Omaha World-Herald. We have the Sports Six-Pack as well to get to today. We talked about also getting involved in the quarterback conversation. Do you feel comfortable with Jeff Sims as being the only guy still in the room. We will touch on that. We will also touch on something.
Are you hating on H2?
DB alluded to. Henrik Harburg?
Yeah.
No.
Just didn't like the way he threw the pill.
He touched it. He touched it.
I'll save my thoughts on Harburg for when we get into that.
Search
segment.
and rescue. THOTS.
Yes.
Save your thoughts.
We'll touch on something DB said yesterday.
Oh boy.
He had mentioned
He touched it.
commitment continuum that Nebraska works with.
Dude, it's
I think that'd
fantastic.
be interesting to tell our listeners. And you said that at the beginning of the show. You're like, hey, maybe we should actually talk about this instead of just holding this.
The commitment continuum.
Holding on to this.
It's not new, but to see the practical application of it,
and then allow people to figure out where players kind of apply.
Allow me to introduce myself.
My name is O. Hey.
All right, we're going to stop
H
with
to the OZ. Is it
OV.
OV?
I thought it was Humpty.
Stop. He fell off his wall.
Okay. Okay, cornball. First of all, you zip it. All right.
He said that in the song.
One of my men is directly associated with Digital Underground, and it saddens me because it was Tupac. But Dre did start with the World-Class Wrecking Crew, so everybody can evolve. Like it's gonna be okay. You should Google some more pictures of Dr. Dre with the World-Class Wrecking Crew.
Right there.
Not the same dude from that left Death Row. I don't even know why I sent you.
Nice. Yeah, these are sick.
Yeah, that would be Dre. It's okay. I mean, we all start from something.
Yeah, he looks like he's wearing an MJ jacket, but sweet.
It's okay. I don't even know why I just said that, but
what, Dre? Or
He's doing some good things.
I don't know if I can get that high.
The commitment continuum, I think, is pretty important because I'm a big psychological guy, especially when it comes to.
And there's 7 stages to it.
Yeah, especially when it comes to competitiveness. And I'm just telling you, man, like it was kind of a big topic, I think, for what we tried to condense in 20 minutes. I touched on it a little, and I get them all confused. Was it Benning Bites? I don't know. I was just talking about, or was this the show where I was talking about going from competitive to obsessed and a healthy obsession?
Well, we were talking Casey yesterday.
Yeah, that's really what it's about. Like I think somewhere along the line, a lot of those players have to fall somewhere on that spectrum, and then it helps you. It's not weed out, but you get a compare and contrast.
Sure. Let's go to the phones. Michigan Lance on line 1 here to join the show. Lance, good morning. What's up, man?
Man, good morning. But Andrew, welcome back, my man.
Thanks, my guy.
Hey, listen, we have a fellow. Listen, I have a fellow Michigan. You, not me, because I'm not a fan. But there's a fellow Michigan fan around town that I chop it up with from time to time. Our kids play together.
Okay.
And I just figured out something. He has a Braylon too, so it has to be. It has to be Edwards. It has to be Edwards. That just dawned on me. But anyway, he told me to stop letting you call.
Why? What have I? Give me a reason why.
He didn't really expound. I think he thought you said something. What did he say?
Preposterous. He's
like, man, I can't even remember. I got to ask him what it was. I don't even know. I don't even know if it was Michigan related. I think it was something else, but it was one of your
probably Jordan. Everybody.
One of your other crazy sports takes.
Right, as long as it wasn't Aaron Rodgers. I feel so bad, Andrew. Your name is so close to that clown.
I know. I anyway. Salary.
Yeah. Wait. So now Aaron Rodgers is a clown?
He's always been a clown.
He's always been a clown. He's never been my guy.
Oh, listen, you guys tag team champs now?
Hey, man.
With you, the Rock and Roll Express?
Hey, man, we're Bears guys. So, hey, stop hating on Digital Underground, DB.
I'm not hating.
That was a good group.
They were okay.
And that's it. Yeah, I mean, they were okay. They were good. I mean, it was okay to Tupac to come out of there.
Is he still alive?
Bay Area,
He
okay.
went to Indonesia.
Hey, Lance, is Tupac still alive?
Okay, so back in the day, yes, he was. I thought that, but now as I got older, I don't know if he's alive anymore.
What do you mean as you got older?
But back in the late '90s and the 2000s, I definitely thought he was alive.
Tupac is alive.
I'm cool with that. I'm definitely cool with that.
So I know you guys think I'm crazy, which is totally fine. But did you see who's the cartel kingpin that was just arrested not too long ago? Like one
El
of the
Chapo?
El Chapo. So he has a son that's on the run. That's guess what? Done what? Had multiple facial reconstruction surgery, so you cannot recognize him. Now he looks
really?
He looks like the Elephant Man. I don't know if Pac would do that. What?
Here's the thing about
he does actually. What's his name? Merrick? Yeah.
Here's the thing about Tupac, though.
Oh, here we go.
Tupac.
Okay, come on, Andrew. I'm a Tupac guy.
It's Liquid. They don't all sound the same. Let's get it together. Go ahead, Liquid.
Tupac strikes me as the type of person who always needed to be doing something. So if he is living somewhere like he needed to be recording an album, doing a movie, being on tour.
No, man, he's in Indonesia.
That's not true. No, the only reason he was always doing something, well, he was always working was to get out of contracts for freedom. Like when he got out of jail and went to death row, he signed a 3-album deal. So he did the double album so he can hurry up and get off the death row and start his own. He was starting his own label. So he was working that hard to pay bills and get freedom.
I'm just saying.
He is officially with Shesterkin.
I'm just saying vacation. There's no way he's chilling somewhere.
I'm telling you.
He wasn't that needy for attention. Like if you, it's why am I talking this shit about me? Go watch Tupac Resurrection. It answers all your questions. Anyway, hey, the quarterback room in Nebraska.
What about
it? Shit pissing me off.
The quarterback room or Shane?
No, Shane. Hey, but the quarterback room.
Disgusted. He was entertaining that coming back and forth.
Right. Go ahead. Hey, Jeff Sims. Like, I like his play. Like, the only thing where I think you're gonna miss Casey Thompson is leadership. I thought he was a good player too. I didn't think he was a bum. I thought he was a good player. I thought his leadership qualities were better, but his game wasn't very low. So I think it needed that as part of the team. What we don't know is if Jeff Sims has leadership qualities yet. I know he has the talent. I believe he has the game, but man, Nebraska, the team needs leadership amongst its players. Not just the staff. But if you're not going to have it along the players, that staff has to be heavy-handed in leadership, man. So
they're extremely heavy-handed right now. That's why I think he's made a few tough decisions and not compromising the culture to stroke a few guys. And Casey Thompson is not one of the guys I'm talking about. So
yeah, I know you. Because
I'm not really here for the Casey Thompson slander. To be honest, right? Like.
Hey, me too.
And I don't think people are going there. I just know sometimes fan bases can like go from treasure to trash when he's not your guy. But Casey, I'm not here for like.
And I'll add to your point, Lance. Experience is something you'll miss with Casey, and IQ. Like this is a guy that knew what was happening.
Listen, I think you guys are burying the lead, but we'll have to come back to that after the break. I'll tell you what they're really missing. When we come back,
interesting.
Like, and it's
Go Bears.
Go Bears.
And it's the essence of who this staff is.
Well, we'll talk to Brandon Vogel next. Yeah. So maybe you can even touch base with him.
I'll ask B Vogue, see what he thinks.
I'm interested to know what you're about to say.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
They call that a tease.
Stick around. We'll be back with B Vogues.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
And we are back. It's Tuesday. Does it feel like a Tuesday? We're having fun on a Tuesday.
Going up on a Tuesday.
Love going up.
Kind of.
Well, we've been jamming to a lot of music this morning.
Slow search and rescue. It's just weird to see grown men beg, but I don't knock the hustle. I just don't get the hype.
Sometimes you're just looking for a rhyme, DB.
Oh, no, man. But a lot of people could. I just think that there's some sort of a cutoff based on how many people can tell you about your ex or your current girlfriend. I'm insecure, man. What can I say?
I feel that. I feel that. Hey, I wonder if B-Vogues can rap. Like, do you think that's a secret element of his?
Have you seen him get dressed? low key super drip.
All right, Vogel, here with us on the show. Can you just toss me a couple of lines?
No, I cannot do that.
No.
How you doing, man?
I'm well. I would like to be a good sport and try, but it might be the end of my career.
Hey, have you not heard me sing? It's like it's over in 5 seconds and it's awful, but okay, you feel better. So I got to get the vibe. What's the pulse of the whole Malik Willis, Tannehill, like Will Levis vibe in your neck of the woods? Is that what was there a total meltdown?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the dropping out of the first round for Levis, like it seemed to kind of fake in the beginning that he was up there to me anyway. I guess it basically started on Reddit and everybody ran with it. So I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to the Titans, but you had your garden variety freakouts. But I think everything will be okay. But you know, it's a big thing. I guess Tannehill's done pretty well there, but you got to move on at some point.
Now, speaking of quarterbacks, that's kind of been topic of conversation here locally after Casey Thompson went to the portal, and now, well, not just him. You know, you lost a majority of your quarterback room, and you're basically, cut down to Jeff Sims and Heinrich Harburg. The question that we're going to end up answering today is really this, but I want to get your thoughts first. Do you feel comfortable with just Jeff Sims in the room now? Because prior to it seemed people were okay with the room because you had Casey there as kind of your safety net. But now it's just Jeff Sims, and then Harburg is making a case for himself. I don't want to discount that fact too much, and I don't want that to get overlooked too much either. But what are your thoughts there? Do you feel comfortable with just Jeff Sims?
Yeah, I think I feel comfortable with it. I kind of liked what I saw in the spring game. I've liked some of what I've heard, sort of a little bit behind the scenes about Sims, and I don't feel as good as I did when they had potentially Thompson and Sims competing for that, but that just stands to reason, right? That was kind of like a luxury safety net to have two guys who have played as much football as they had. And it always seemed, I think, somewhat likely that you wouldn't have that by the time you got to the fall. But with that, plus two other transfers in that room, it does get pretty shallow pretty quickly. You need Sims to stay healthy now. We heard good things, and I think saw good things from Harburg in the spring at points. Spring game, passing wise, certainly, wasn't one for the books. And then, Chuba Purdy is still in there, and I'm still kind of waiting for him to make a real impression, at least for me personally. So things got a little bit dicey, but you'll look around the league, and it's kind of that way for everybody right now. I mean, here's a question throughout: who's your favorite presumed starter in the Big Ten West right now? Because other than Northwestern, they're going to be new across the board.
And that's if Helinski wins the job.
Yeah, and it seems like they like Edwards better. Just reading a little bit about some chatter from Northwestern's camp. I mean, is Hudson Card, first-time starter at Purdue, the best quarterback in the Big Ten West right now, just based on presumed talent? You go Tanner Mordecai.
I kind of like McNamara.
Not me, but he's experienced,
and he plays in the most quarterback friendly is not the word, but like he plays in a safe offense, right? Where he doesn't have to be, the man. Now, people, I know Iowa fans are like, "Oh shoot, man,
you don't want to hear that."
They're like, "Look, I think it'd be nice if we had someone be the man," but like he seems like the safest pick because Mordecai in the spring game was not the Mordecai I saw in practice. So I'm still, and I believe his body of work should speak for itself, but he is in a new place. So maybe I have to account for that with Longo, but I think I would go to Iowa City. I think.
Yeah, I mean, if Iowa, if Caleb Johnson is really good and that Iowa O-line gets back to looking like, I think we all expect Iowa offensive lines to look like, which it hasn't for really the past 2 seasons, I agree with you. I think McNamara could be the right fit, the right type of quarterback to look really good if those pieces come along with it.
I have no idea who he's going to throw to, but
I think I'd lean Hudson Card. But Hudson Card's kind of
got a new staff.
Kind of been my guy when the portal was really getting going back in December.
So not only is he with a new staff, Purdue's got a new staff.
And that'll be interesting because he won't play like Aiden McConnell did. That's not how that offense will run because you have a new coach, a defensive-minded coach, and I don't know if they are going to throw the ball and extend as much as they did last season.
Hail, Brandon Vogel from Hail Varsity. B-Vogues, how does Nebraska's staff offset what I think their greatest goal is to provide competition daily at every position? Is quarterback off limits? You let that guy ride, just settle in? Or how do they offset the perception that it may not be as competitive as it was if you had Thompson? Because nobody's keeping 2 quarterbacks with that kind of starting experience.
Yeah. I think they can just kind of run things the way that they'd like to run them. And based on what I've seen so far and, the amount of football that Sims has played, I think it'll probably take care of itself. I think that's the assumption most people have. Like once Thompson's out of the picture, it just becomes like, oh, well, it's Sims. And, and his lead over Harburg, at least just based on the spring game, which, there's more to it than that, seemed pretty sizable. And even over Purdy as well. So, I think the coach staff will probably just coach it the way they've coached it. And it changes doing it in the spring, of course, versus doing it in the lead up to a season when you're getting ready for actual games. But I don't know that they need to be worried about it a ton. We hear the people who talk about this all the time. We'll probably talk about Jeff Sims as the starter the whole way along. But I doubt the coaching staff, well, maybe they will privately, but what they do with the team, I think they'll just kind of stay the course.
Brandon Vogel, managing editor for Hail Varsity at Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter. Folks, now that you've seen spring and you know a little bit more about this team, what are some of the biggest questions that you think still need to be answered about this team? And how do you think they can find those answers before the season starts?
Yeah, I was impressed with how Sims threw the ball. I'm still kind of looking for a little bit more, I guess, certainty, maybe not quite that strong. I'm looking for a few more sure options at receiver in particular. I think tight end, and this might actually be a little bit of a flip from where I went into the spring game. I think they might end up being okay there if they stay healthy. Defensively, I liked kind of the multiplicity of the defense that we saw. I liked kind of the splash plays defensively that we saw. Can you do that against Big Ten opponents consistently? But I think that's going to be a fun side of the ball to watch. It's kind of an interesting philosophical question as we move out of the spring game, at least to me, as I'm going through like all the Big Ten teams for the yearbook. Like defense wins in the Big Ten West, but doesn't win championships overall in the Big Ten. Or do you have to, if given the choice, would you rather be a lead on offense or a lead on defense in the Big Ten? And I don't know if I have an answer today, but it's just something I've been thinking about as Nebraska has a chance to kind of construct itself for its long-term future.
Well, I think if I just go by recent history, Michigan's had the better defense versus Ohio State, and Michigan has yet to be elite on offense. So I'll take the elite defense right now in the Big Ten, at least right now, because Ohio State has been prolific on offense, but it hasn't been good enough the last 2 years against Michigan because they weren't good enough defensively.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to ask that question, because if we did it 2 years ago before Michigan's rise and Ohio State is four straight, Big Ten champs, maybe you go the other way. But I agree with you. It's kind of a really great example lately of Michigan kind of doing things the Big Ten way and winning the Big Ten. Because Ohio State
has been elite defensively, and it's it has served them well, even with an atrocious offense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It gets super.
But it's
frustrating in
it's
the West.
easier in the Big Ten West. Yes, is that answer?
But still,
to have an elite defense and be that successful.
So let me ask it this way, Brandon. Right now today, would you rather be Michigan or Ohio State?
Ooh, I think Michigan.
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you.
I don't know if I want Ryan Day as my coach.
Ooh, you're not here for that either, huh? Hey, B-Vokes, real quick. Is Coach Day overrated when you win that many games? Are we in any position to talk?
I don't think he's overrated because I try not to take it for granted. After Urban Meyer left and it was Ryan Day, I was just like, good luck matching his win total. He just hasn't gotten that. I mean, he's gotten conference championships. He just hasn't gotten the ultimate one yet.
Thanks, Vogel.
Thanks, B.
Thank you.
We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
We are back, top of the hour here on Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. Before we get in touch with our next guest, I want to take a moment and tell you about Dingman's Collision Center. Dingman's is your one-stop shop for all your car needs. I told you about my tire situation when I left Omaha a couple of weeks ago, and Darcy Dingman was a gem in helping me find a place to get my tires done. And this is how great Darcy and Dingman's is. They gave me recommendations to other businesses because they wanted to help me out that much. And so because of that, extend your hand.
Major distribution.
I'm going to extend my left hand every single time and go to Dingman's because I know they're going to take care of me. And they'll take care of you too. If they go out and give you somebody else's name, then you know that when you go to them, you're going to get the same exact treatment. That's dingmans.com. Let's change gears and talk to Eddie Garcia, Fox Sports Radio Network anchor at Eddie on Fox on Twitter. Eddie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good, Eddie. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure when we can grab you. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Eddie, I saw in your bio that you're a Pirates fan. I'm a Cardinal fan, so we have kind of flip-flopped in what the division would probably what we probably would have guessed looked like coming into the season. The Pirates on the very top. You must be happy with how they've started.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I had checked out being a Pirates fan because my theory was if they don't care, why should I? But it seems like their owner, Bob Nutting, is finally deciding to actually spend some money and show that he's going to try with the team. They signed Brian Reynolds to a huge contract. Brian Hayes is another guy that they signed not too long ago. And they're playing well this season. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to get back into it and start following the team again. So, yeah, it's nice to see them actually giving the good folks in Pittsburgh some decent baseball.
The cool thing is they're kind of defying metrics and still winning. Now, this schedule with the Rays and Jays coming up should be interesting, but you already dusted off my Dodgers, so we know that you're somewhat for real.
I mean, it's a good start. I didn't really expect it, but I'm happy to see it. It's cool to have Andrew McCutchen back as well and doing some nice things, so a little nostalgia there for back when I was really following the Pirates. But there's a lot of new names that I had to learn, like Jack Sawinski, guys like that.
Who, by the way, I think he's leading you guys in home runs.
Yeah, it's been kind of fun, actually, to get back into it. I've been a baseball fan where when my team, I'm one of those guys that for baseball, when my team isn't doing that well, I kind of lose interest in the sport. I'm not that way with football. I'm not that way with hockey, but I kind of have been with baseball. So it's been good to get back into it again after a few seasons away.
Well, that ballpark in Pittsburgh is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. Let's talk hockey now, Eddie. And I want to get your thoughts on kind of the biggest storyline coming out of the weekend. You had the Bruins and you had the Avs both nixed from the playoffs. Did you ever expect, after what we saw in the regular season, that would happen?
No, especially with Boston. And I know the history of the President's Trophy winners, and I know the history of the regular season not always meaning that much in the playoffs. But I really believed in the Bruins this year. They were focused all season long. They were consistent all season long. The argument was that they hadn't played meaningful games all year because they had such a huge lead in the division. But like I said, they were locked in all season, and they've had guys on that roster that have won cups before. So I thought they had it all. I thought they had the goaltending. I thought they had the experience. So, and they had a 3-1 lead against Florida. They had a 1-goal lead with a minute to play in Game 7, and they still found a way to let that slip away. I was really, really surprised. Others weren't, but I was. Colorado isn't the same team that won the cup last year. They're not as deep. Their captain, Gabriel Landeskog, missed the whole year with a knee injury. So they weren't quite the same team as they were a year ago, but still surprising to see them lose to a second-year expansion team in Seattle, which really doesn't have any star players, and their one leading scorer got hurt in the playoffs and didn't score a goal in the whole series. So it's been a very eventful first round for sure.
So I'm full disclosure about. This was a month ago. We do this deal. It's going to happen today. We call it the Sports Six Pack. We were asked, would we take the Big Five, which both included Boston, the Avs,
Colorado, and Tampa,
or the field. I said reluctantly, I'm going to take the field because my pick to win the cup
took down the Kings.
It was the Edmonton Oilers. Was the way that the series went with the Oilers enough for you to give confidence that Edmonton can be clutch? Or was it not enough yet to see if they can get over the, I know a lot's expected of me, we're going to deliver hump?
The only thing that gives me pause about the Oilers is they have a rookie goaltender in Stuart Skinner.
Yes,
and he wasn't great against the Kings, but he was good enough. Now, that having been said, you look at the resume of all the goaltenders that are still remaining, there's not a lot of stars.
It's about the same.
Right.
You've got Jake Ottinger in Dallas, who's a very, very good young goalie. And as far as the resume goes, you've got Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida, but he didn't even start the playoffs as the number one goalie.
And Lions got pulled in crunch. I mean, so a lot of it's weird with the goaltending. I completely agree with you. But we've seen more goals scored too.
Yeah, the Oilers' power play is insane. It was in the regular season, they had the best power play percentage in a regular season in NHL history. And they've done nothing but go up in the playoffs. Their power play is at 57%. Yeah. That's insane. You take a penalty against them, and they're going to make you pay. Now, if they can keep that going, they can absolutely win the Cup. And I'll say this, right now, I think the two favorites after Boston has been knocked out and now the Rangers, I think it's possible we might see an all-Canada.
Toronto and Edmonton. I'm with you.
Edmonton. And that would certainly cure the curse of Canada, which hasn't won a cup since '93.
Hey, and to double down on that, Eddie, how about the 3 M's with McDavid, Marner, and Matthews? All their critics are they're not clutch, the useful, or they're, talented but not useful in terms of wins. They all have a chance to answer the dinner bell of the critics about being clutch in crunch time.
No, they've all had very solid first rounds. I will say, though, for Edmonton, that Leon Draisaitl has been the better player so far.
He's ridiculous.
McDavid does it. It's kind of remember back in the few years back, they had Thunder and Lightning with the New York Giants.
Yeah.
Remember that running back tandem?
Tiki,
Brandon Jacobs.
Yeah, and Jacobs, yeah.
Tiki. Well, McDavid and Draisaitl are Thunder and Lightning because McDavid is with speed. Nobody's got the speed that he does, but Draisaitl's got the power. He keeps people off the puck, shields them with his body. He's one of the best passers in the NHL, and he can score as well. He's lethal on the power play, so that is a great combo going on. And Marner and Matthews certainly is not bad as well, but they've kind of been overlooked a lot because they haven't had any playoff success to speak of. Now they've got their chance, and they get a favorable matchup against Florida.
So you talk about a lot of young goaltenders. One we saw last night in that Devils-Rangers game, and Akira Schmid. This is somebody that had come up even locally to the area and, hasn't played a whole bunch.
Local as in Sioux City.
Local as in Sioux City. Is he – okay, so here's my thing. When the Blues won the Stanley Cup, I know I'm going to go back to the Blues. When the Blues won the Stanley Cup, it was Jordan Binnington that came up halfway through the year. So I don't know if veteran goaltending all in all matters too much when it comes to this point. I think it's more, if you get hot at the right time, but also these teams haven't seen a lot of these goaltenders. And even if they have, it hasn't been too often, and vice versa. The goaltender hasn't seen the team. So do you think as a rookie goaltender that they carry a lot of pressure?
It's a really good question. I think that maybe they're too dumb to know.
Yeah, just haven't been there.
About the pressure. But I also think, if you have a veteran goalie he's experienced the good and the bad. Where if you have a young guy in net and suddenly he turns into a pumpkin, then it could go bad downhill in a hurry. But I give New Jersey all the credit in the world for going with Akira Schmid. They're down 0-2. They lose both games at home. They're going into Madison Square Garden, and they're like, oh, let's put the rookie out there who's never had a playoff start before. I get wanting to kind of change it up and give the Rangers a different look, but who could have thought he'd throw up a shutout in that first game, and then he'd shut out the Rangers again in Game 7. So certainly they're loving what he can give them right now. They're going to ride it as long as it lasts.
Eddie, they don't use you as the voice to do sports updates just because you're only good with hockey. So I'm going to ask you a topical question, but land it with hockey with plus minus. We've seen some antiquated statistics over time as games have changed, right? RPI and things like that, plus minus. When you look at hockey, Andrew and I debate this all the time. I think it's a little antiquated and overrated now, the way that the game is played. How do you feel about plus minus in hockey still as an indicator?
I'm still okay with it. It's one of those stats that's been debated about how important it really is. I tend to look at it and think it's still something that you can take a positive out of. But I'll be honest, I'm not a big analytics guy. I'm probably behind the times on all that kind of stuff. Corsi and Fenwick and this stuff in hockey. I still don't have a good grasp on all of that, but I think plus minus is, it's not the be all end all, but I was still, when you see a big plus minus, I still kind of think that that's something that's, tells you you've had a pretty good season. It's okay.
We saw kind of McCarr and Rantanen and a couple of those guys, I think, wear down a little bit with the depth and the youth of the Kraken. Is there a team in particular that you're paying particularly close attention to if certain guys have to log too much ice time? Like, basically it's a question about depth, but we're starting to see some ice times creep up into the 25, 26, 27 minutes. Usually it's a defenseman
in the league,
but we've had to see some stars carry heavy loads. Who should be concerned about logging ice time?
That's a good one. I'll answer it this way, I guess, is I think Seattle is the one team that isn't concerned about it because they don't have a dominant line.
Well, they got 10 guys playing 18 minutes.
Hey, don't poo-poo McCann and Beniers. Come on, Garcia.
No, I'm not poo-pooing them, but they're not superstars. They're not guys that...
Beniers was almost Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he probably would be Rookie of the Year, but he's still not, you look at the marquee players in the league, I don't know that he's obviously not going to be mentioned amongst them yet, and McCann's hurt. I don't even know when he's coming back. So, that's a team that really doesn't have anybody that you can key on, but they've got four lines that'll go out there and give you a hard effort and make it hard against you. So I guess the opposite of the question would be, I think the Kraken probably are the team to watch that doesn't have to worry about that kind of thing.
Eddie, say you're a fan of hockey. You're a fan of a team that didn't make the playoffs. So is myself. But
and as a Pens fan, I'm right there with you.
Say you have no skin in the game. Who would you consider to be the National Hockey League's team? So I wanted to say America's team. Like if you said who's America's team, like who are people rooting for? But I guess North America's team is probably a good way to put it. Who would you say is North America's team right now in the playoffs? Who are you latching on to?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Honestly, I like New Jersey because they're young and they're fun and they're fast.
They can skate.
Goodness. Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know that that's America's team. Maybe Vegas, but I think Vegas is very unlikable because they've been so good so early. I think a lot of fans are like, you got to pay your dues. This isn't right that you're, you go to the Stanley Cup final in your first year and you've been in the playoffs every year but one. So I don't know. It's Seattle's certainly your underdog story. If you like a good underdog story, I think that's certainly there. And I think it's very cool that Seattle, kind of like Vegas, they're getting hockey fever now, and they're going to turn that into a hockey market. I mean, Vegas is an unknown in a way, but Seattle obviously has great sports there with the Seahawks, and they were great fans when the Sonics were around. And then, so it's cool to see them kind of really getting in on hockey now.
How interesting is it? You bring up New Jersey. I think it's funny because we were just talking about their skill and how they could skate. That the last time we remember memorable Devils teams, we were mad about like neutral zone trapping and mucking up the game. That this team is so free skating and, dare I say, like transition hockey. Like they get out and skate between the blue lines.
Oh, there's no doubt. This is not your father's Devils. That is for sure. I mean, those teams did it with physical play, defense, grind you down, goaltending. This is the opposite. This is run and gun, beat you with speed, Jack Hughes flying up the ice, Dawson Mercer, Igor Sharangovich, all these young guys that can skate. This is definitely not what. I mean, look, when you win, it's fun. Like with my LA Kings, when they won their 2 cups, they were not a very entertaining team to watch style-wise. But I loved them because they won. That's what it's all about. But I think New Jersey is probably like, wow, this is amazing. We can have a winning team and a fun team to watch. They get the best of both worlds there. So, yeah, it's definitely a change from the Devils' glory years for sure.
That's funny. You mentioned the Kings. They were my team at the beginning of the year. I told
they were.
I told Andrew when the season
we
first started, I said the Kings are the team coming from kind of off the grid that are going to be the team to watch out for.
Well, I think they just met the wrong team, to be honest with you. Edmonton was hot at the end of the year. They've got the 2 best players in the game, and the power play was ridiculous, like I said. So if LA could have matched up with somebody else in that first round, they may still be playing, but that didn't happen.
Eddie Garcia, Fox Sports Radio Network anchor. We appreciate your time. Real fast before we let you go, who's making the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals?
I'm going to say it is going to be. I'm going to say it's Toronto, Edmonton. I'm going to do it. I'm going to say it's all Canada.
Blame Canada. So they're making the cup. Who's going to make the conference finals, though? Is it going to be Dallas Kraken or Hurricanes Devils?
I'm going to say Devils versus Leafs, and I'm going to go Kraken versus versus Oilers.
If it's Devils Leafs, they're going to have a hard time. Like doing play-by-play for that one will be fantastic because there will be some serious open ice.
You can't take a breath.
There'll be some open ice skating going on.
Eddie, we appreciate your time.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm with you. I'm here for it.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, Eddie.
Eddie Garcia, at Eddie on Fox on Twitter. Who would you say is America's team? Or you know what I mean by saying that. Include the Canadian team.
So I'm going to go with Seattle.
The underdog story.
I just think they have great uniforms. They have.
I think they're easy to cheer for.
They have the fantastic. So of the teams left, they have the second best open in hockey. The Vegas Knights have the best open.
Well, they also are in a circus town, so they go all out.
It's an unbelievable. It's fantastic.
It is cool,
but quietly, and I know sometimes I knock Canada for a multitude of reasons. I was a big Canadians Open guy, where the ice turns blue and red, and it's pretty lit. But the
Welcome to the family.
Tough, man. He is tough. I think it's the Kraken.
I almost want to say the Kraken for me too.
Did you see their whiteout the other night? It was sensational.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I liked Winnipeg's too, but they laid an egg.
If I'm going to be different,
I'm different. Yeah, I'm
different.
Oh gosh.
I'll say the team that you think's going to win it all. I'll say the Oilers. I think people will have latched on to just Connor McDavid being the new best player in hockey, or like the fresh face of hockey. People want to see him win. So I'll go with Edmonton.
Isn't it interesting that Marner, Matthews, and McDavid all have a chance to get over the hump? Because they were kind of maligned.
Oh, we talked about the President's Curse, President's Trophy curse. These teams had curses.
We had a fantastic back and forth over Robbie and I, talented versus useful.
Okay.
Like the Kyrie Irvings of the world, the Jason Tatums, like when does it correlate to wins?
Mm-hmm.
And I got off the Trout thing a little just because his WAR is so high.
So high.
But they haven't won anything right in
Mm-hmm.
Anaheim. But Ryan made a good point. It's like baseball's pretty hard to say that. But
well, especially because it's so individualized and you need 9 guys to make it work.
But I felt like Matthews in particular, not so much Marner, because remember Matthews probably 3 years ago, he was going to be the guy. Had the chance to be the face of hockey. And Toronto kept having these meltdowns. And so people kind of got off of M&M, right? The hype train. Actually, there was 3 M's in Toronto. But they got a chance to exercise the demons. Hey,
well, taking down Tampa, that was the way to do it.
But that was not a great Tampa team.
They still had all their pieces, though.
Yeah,
they had Cooch, they had a healthy Stamkos, they had Vasilevsky.
When he wasn't fighting. I just didn't. Their explosiveness was just.
Well, they're older.
Yeah. So
right?
I mean,
you had the old against the young, and the young ended up winning this time, this
trying
round.
to teach people how to be a Lion.
Also, the Maple Leafs have a goalie.
Yeah.
Like Samsonov's a good goaltender.
Yeah. Are you picking him up in fantasy?
Well, I didn't have him this year.
He's a good goalie.
I had
he had been. He'd been fantastic.
I had a goalie.
But then again, so had Shesterkin.
That a lot of people just don't want to talk. They don't want to talk about the team. Who am I referring to?
Knowing you're going to come off the grid.
No, I'll give you a clue. It's a playoff team.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it.
Let's go to Dallas.
He doesn't get talked about enough. Jake Ottinger.
Yeah, hey,
does not get talked about enough.
Can I get a ding?
Nice work.
Kind of like a
Thank
what up
you.
and next.
You kind of hit me there on your outside swipe.
Yeah, because you low key have been on the Ottinger hype train.
I've just kind of been on the Dallas train, and they're not a team I want to root for.
And you know what's funny? I asked you. I was like, when we were talking about the Big Five, and I was like, so wait a minute. So Dallas isn't included in that? And you guys told me they couldn't score enough. Remember Adam? He DM'd. He's like, I'm like, are we not talking about Dallas?
And I'll still stick to that point because without
I had to talk you into it.
Yeah, well, good goaltending is what I landed.
Dude, Dallas is dangerous. Hey, they touch you too.
Nobody talks. Well,
they touch you. Like, you skate with your head down if you want to. You'll get clipped.
Yeah, really good defensive play.
That's what I'm saying.
Good play in front of you, and that type of play is contagious. That's what I call confidence contagious or contagious. I'd rather go the other way.
Contagious confidence.
Contagious confidence, because that is something that, as a goaltender, you feed off of what is in front of you. If you get peppered all game long, the team is now trying to be contagious off of you. But meanwhile, if you can be contagious off of the confidence of the team in front of you, that is what makes a successful team, and that's Dallas.
I get the whole playing perfect thing, like the Lightning and the Avs. But at the end of the day, the third pass, the extra pass, the beautiful play, man, just get the puck on net and see what happens. Like, I get the pretty. Sometimes, man, just get that bad boy on net. See what happens.
We talk about confidence.
Ask Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Just get it on net.
We talk about confidence in hockey. How about we change gears again and talk about it on the Continuum? I'm really intrigued to talk about this point. We'll get into quarterback conversation. Don't worry. But I think this is a good segue. We'll be back.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Welcome back to the show, Coffee and Cream in the Morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. We're live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers, here to talk the commitment continuum. It was a term that
I just
DB
threw that out there.
threw out yesterday, and people were probably like, "What? Yeah. What? This commitment continuum? What is this? What is this? What is this sorcery you're talking about?"
So I do have one coach. I talk to him all the time, and the cool thing about him is it doesn't matter what school or what sport he's coaching. Like, we've maintained this relationship, and sometimes I'm actually coaching against him. And it's no coincidence, like, he's actually on board with this commitment continuum. We were talking about it yesterday over social media. He's a fantastic coach, so I get it. But it's no coincidence that like their school, and I'll explain more off air, but it's no coincidence that their school wins games. Like these kinds of things are important to them.
They know their values.
And they play like it.
So on this continuum, here's how it goes. If we move from left to right, it starts with the bad and goes with the good.
Let me lay the groundwork first of all. So where I got this from is not new. It's not novel. I was having a conversation with some guys on the staff in Lincoln, and instead of them telling me to Google it, they told me to read, because we always exchange book ideas. Because one of their guys in particular is a avid reader. So we were exchanging ideas about, I asked about any educational backgrounds, because a lot of what they talk about has a lot of educational principles to it, right? Meeting players right where they're at. Like that's what you want to do as a teacher. Habits of highly effective people. Just little nuance, Maslow's hierarchy. Like where to meet student athletes at, right? Safety, having their basic needs met, changing the training table, the physiological, the whole deal.
Yeah, it's connecting the sensors in the brain.
And the 4 stages of learning, which they talk about all the time, where it's like subconscious reaction where you've mastered the skill so you don't think about it real time. So I knew that I had some folks that liked education. So we always talk about books. This book, he's the author, Jeff Jansen. It's the 7 Secrets of Successful Coaching and Championship Team Building. That's where the whole catalyst of this thing came from. So when we're having these conversations about the portal, how to get guys, when to let guys go, how to have exit interviews and intro interviews with players, they have a generic baseline. And it's based on the commitment continuum. So that birthed my whole conversation on Casey Thompson. That's the backstory.
Because we got to the obsessive side of things.
That's the backstory when I said, hey, listen, man, I'm just not here for the Casey Thompson slander. And I don't think it's that he, quote unquote, didn't want to compete because he knew the job was a foregone conclusion. I don't, not for 1 minute do I believe that to be the case.
Resistant, reluctant.
These are the stages.
Yep. Resistant, reluctant, existent, compliant, committed, compelled, obsessed. You move from left to right. The further right you go, the better you are.
Although obsessed,
you're right.
Is beyond the spectrum.
Right. If you get too far, that could actually be looked at as a negative in some cases.
Correct.
So when you look at resistant and reluctant, I don't think you find a lot of players in those categories.
So yes and no. Beautiful that you say that, because sometimes people start out as that and they don't even know it, right? For instance, a player that is used to being coached a certain way, or it was committed to a coach and not the institution. Those players in their subconscious could start out as that, right?
But you mold into something.
We didn't do it this way. Right. Why are we doing it? That need to know the why before it's even told.
But yes, you could easily start out as that. Great point.
Yeah.
Existent, which
you're just there physically.
Right. It's one of those things where your physical presence is there, but you're not mentally there. There's a few of that. Like you can see that.
A lot of times you get that in coaching transitions. Oh, I'm here, but let me see what he or she is all about before I'm all in.
And what's great about the commitment continuum is when you say continuum, like you're moving forward.
Correct.
You're you're going up the stairs, right? You don't just stay on the step. You don't just get to existent and then to compliant and stay at compliant.
Yeah.
You're not just there to be with the coaches and just do what the coaches ask. Like, you're not just there for that. No, you have to be then committed, which is the big one that they kept trying to preach over and over and over again. They say they want their players bought in to what they're doing. If you're not bought in, the door is over there.
And here's the key to it. So to go from compliant, because compliant, you're obedient. You're like soldiers. You do what's expected, but you kind of lack
leadership,
the initiative to do the extra, right? You're just, I'm gonna do what I'm told, right? I'm compliant. It's like when you get pulled over by an officer and they say, hey, just be compliant. Just do what you're told.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it. Committed, you're transitioning into you're not only interested in your own success, but you're moved to want to do better for other people.
Right.
Right. Because I would say this for years when I didn't know what it was called. I'd say the real magic happens when you can cheer for other people and it may be at your own expense.
Compliancy,
like you said with Dingman's. When they can refer you to someone else because they aren't able to do something for the goodness of being other-centered, you like them even more. Right? Like you're even more in on Dingman's than
it's that unconscious like need to want to go back now.
Right. It's like, God, I can't believe they looked out for me. Like
it's the same thing when I bought my ring for Ashley when I got engaged. I double checked with people here in Omaha who didn't try to sell me anything. And now, like, I want to go back there anytime I need some type of anniversary gift.
So that's going from compliance to committed.
And compliancy is something where you need somebody to motivate you. And commitment, you're already now self-motivated.
Yeah. You want an example? I think I can say this. Miles Farmer. The magic for Miles Farmer will and can and should and can happen when you go from compliant to committed. Right? Because we started out in these other stages. But when you now move to the conscious to be there for other people and to be other-centered, you move out of the compliant thing because that makes you committed.
And the best you can absolutely be on this chart is compelled.
Correct.
The best you can be. Because that is the point to where no matter what comes your way, no matter what adversity you face, you still find a way to develop that need to succeed or to at least achieve that need to succeed. It's kind of what, let's take Gabe Ervin, for example. Somebody that gets hurt 4 games into being somebody that's taken as the best running back in the room his freshman year. He goes down with an injury. Now he's got a rehab. Well, he had that desire to overcome the obstacle. He was compelled to do that. And now look where he is today. He stayed the course. He bought into rule. He went up this commitment continuum. And now he's compelled in this team, for this team. And he's being looked at as the number one guy in the backfield.
And to give that somebody, okay, right? So let's put the meat to it and see, okay, do you meet this benchmark? Because that's really what the staff does. So you just described Gabe Ervin, right? Now let me describe you the details of being compelled. So compelled, they're athletes that they take it a step further than those who are committed, right? So you go from a 5 to a 6. They have a positive mentality, no matter what obstacles or adversities, like you hang in there. They have an irrational sense of, I'm going to be there for other people because my positive mentality, right? And so they train, they compete, and the little things matter. Nutrition, recovery, technique.
You hold yourself to a higher standard.
All those things start to matter to you because they know that moves you up the continuum. Like that's the next phase. And I would say that's absolutely Gabe Ervin.
And then you get into obsessed, which we'll talk about next with Casey Thompson. And that will lead us into the quarterback conversation. So stick around. We have more here on this. It's Coffee and Cream.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
And we're back. Quick programming note before we continue. Joel Lorenzi moved to 9:30. So
He's at the barber, man. I get it.
So we will make sure to get.
I should hook him up with my guy. Appointment only, man. You can stay on the clock.
Can you hook me up with your guy?
Yeah. You know, you want to know what it's like to be a brother and just have to like.
Hey, I did that in college plenty of times.
Yeah, and but this isn't walk-ins where you just kind of
best haircuts. No, I had a guy in college. TKOs.
Did you go to just another love TKO?
TKOs.
I think you should let it go.
I have.
You probably don't know that song.
I have never had a better professional haircut.
I was gonna say you were birthed to that song, but it might be your older siblings. Sorry, Barry. This ain't another love TK. By the way, R.I.P. Gordon Lightfoot again.
There we go. There he is,
dude. I'm crazy. Like, don't mind me, man. Don't mind me. I'm just excited. We're talking about things that are in my wheelhouse.
What, like barbers?
The barbershop. Commitment continuum. Because I'm all in.
And also, before we continue with this conversation, we appreciate all the hockey interaction we're getting on the comment
section. I wish we could figure out how we can comment. I think Shane is the only one. I wish he'd give us permission. It probably sounds more like a Sasha question.
Yeah.
Hey, Sasha, how can we interact in the comment section? Because they jump off periodically. Like, I kind of like that. I know you don't know. That's the problem. I don't need you to tell me.
You're mad.
There he goes.
See.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
I'm good.
We're just constant. We'll
I'm
look at the
Yeah.
exit door.
I'm good.
Hey, Shane, your door's over there.
You know what?
In my former life, I did that to my co-host. I didn't even look at him. I looked out the window the whole time. He said, "You got to talk to me." I said, "No, I don't."
So I'm Michael Severe.
I didn't even have to listen.
Why you got to drop names?
I thought everybody knew that. I mean, that was a famous CWS
Michael
segment.
Severe.
It was a total meltdown.
Turnaround.
I said,
Shane
said, this was so long. This was double-digit years ago. As we were going back and forth, and I was like, "Why do you have to talk to people like that, man?" I said, "What's wrong with your tone?" He said, "Tone? Well, what are you, a woman? Who cares about tone? What am I saying to you? Why are you worried about my tone?" I was like, "Oh, I think I'm mad." So I turned my back to him like a 4-year-old. Oh man,
like
I was mad. Save it, Shane.
Like a
chump.
For
like
the
a good
CWS?
relationship fight, right? Like a good fight in your relationship. Turning your back.
Hey, K-Dub, he said just have your YouTube going to the background with no volume, then you can answer. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, he threw it out there.
Hey, can you come over and show me how to do that?
Dude, he's probably mowing like
You asked me the same question last year, Eric.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm not. I turned around. He's probably.
You know what Shane is?
15th lawn.
Shane is obsessed.
Shane is.
Give them nothing.
Shane is an idiot. I'm good on that.
That too.
What KD said at the press conference. Google KD. He an idiot. That's what I'm gonna say about Shane.
That thing wet.
And
That thing wet.
I'll do the Kawhi laugh.
I'm done.
Hey, man.
What?
Or the Justin Bieber comment. I like that laugh. That's a nice laugh.
Oh man, I'm good.
So you kind of alluded to the fact yesterday that Casey could fall in the obsessive side of things in certain ways.
Yeah.
Not in full.
His preparation is it has some similarities, and this isn't. I wouldn't necessarily even call this a negative. Because as you can see,
Well, it could be a positive and a negative.
Oh, did you see his post on IG? Right? Like everything is very well thought out. It's scripted. Sometimes I would be curious to see if he could just freelance. Right? Because so 90% of the time, those folks that can knock out a script, they're great, right? Easy to work with. I coached with a guy one time. This was early in my coaching career. If you were just watching film and you lined up in a 5, a 3, a shade, and a 7 technique, he'd be very good. It's like, oh man, they could do this, this, and this, and then we can do this, and we're gonna get this call, and then we can do this. Now the problem is they have a dry erase board and film too. So let's say we put in a defense to stop trap to the closed side. They start running trap to the open side. All right, well, when what happens, right? Like, what's our adjustment real time? I talk about this all the time with our staff. You know, people ask us, "Oh, we've had a couple of new additions," and I said, "Well, the real truth will be how we adjust in game. Getting on a dry erase board right now is fine, right? We can talk about a multitude of things: 1 high, 2 high, how to roll down to this. What happens when you're playing Millard South and they got a route concept that is just killing one of our coverages? You're playing North Platte. They've got a concept that is just wearing us out. How can we adjust on the fly, right?
Have to adjust.
And so, like, that's like a thing, right? I think Millard South scored 14 points in like 5 seconds. Right? It's like,
how'd that happen?
How do we slow these guys down? And it's like the ability to have conversations real time, to give yourself a chance to get to the half or to make it a meaningful game in the fourth quarter. Like, those things matter. That's where these things come into play, about being able to get off script.
Yep. And, you know, I'll own it too. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist as well. And that's kind of where I'd probably lead with the obsessive trait for Casey and myself being perfectionists. It's consuming, right? It's time consuming. And, to achieve one specific thing, one specific goal, we're willing to spend a lot of time doing it in order to get there. And I think that's what falls more in the obsessive side of things, more than what is also listed on here, which is like, hey, focus tends to be on themselves and individual goals rather than the team. That's not Casey. Casey's in it for the team. He wouldn't have put in all of this work in the offseason if it weren't to be in it.
That's why I'm not. That's that right there. And appreciate you being forthright about yourself too, because sometimes that's hard, right? But you don't know until you don't know what you don't know. And as you find yourself in it, and you can take some self-inventory real time, see, that's when the real growth happens.
And it also goes back to listening. I'll go one step further. My mom, my fiance, you. 3 people in my life that constantly tell me, dude, just let it ride. Sasha's another one.
Yeah, let it rip.
Just let it go.
Let it rip.
Like, stop trying to make it so perfect. Like, you don't have to. Like, just use your personality and go with it. And that's something that I've had to adjust to, because
deep. I like that.
I have always been scripted for the longest time. And yes, you can. When I was a play-by-play broadcaster in college, as much as like a game is free-flowing, you technically stick to a script. You do the intros at the beginning of the game. You send it to break. You do the first half. You do the second half. Yes, you're interchanging names like, oh, you're on the right wing, back to the top of the key. But again, the way the game moves, it feels like a script. Same thing when I went to work in TV sports. You put everything on a teleprompter. Everything, because no matter what, even if you said, hey, I'm going to free flow this and just do the highlights, which I did a couple of times, you still had to type things in for those closed captioning stuff. So people that didn't have the TV on sound could read it on mute as you're going. So I was kind of taught to be scripted just based in my career and my career path. Then I get into an opinionated side of things, and you have to retool. You have to rework. But that's when you lean on the people that have done it. That's when you lean on the people that have stuck to what works for them and are also teachers at the same time. And so on my commitment continuum, I have to go from an obsessed side of things, and I have to go back to compliant, to then committed, to then compel.
That is fantastic. That's deep.
So it's just working like through your own life too. And that's what I also think about with Casey is he's kind of at the point to where, those obsessive traits will continue to follow him because that's just the player he is. But in the same light, he's also going to have to backtrack when he goes somewhere else. And even with Rule, he had to be compliant. He had to be committed. He had to be compelled, and it just never worked out.
Because I think, God, that is beautiful. Because I think at some point, right, you're working with other people, and while you're in your own attributes, other people are getting opinions based on you while you're doing you. And then when you're not cognizant of that, I think at some point people are going to be like, hey, whoa, hey, man, like, relax. Like, let's try this, and that. Well, what? No, I always have done it this way. So then there's that back and forth, right? So the ability to take self-inventory real time is so critical. I always tell people on social media, listen, man, I don't want to be responsible for your feelings. I don't. I just want to disseminate information, and I want to free you up to do with it what you will. If you want follow-up, I'm here for it. If you want to establish an opinion, I'm here for it. Because the difference between compelled and obsessed is, although there's a super fine line, well, I'll save it. Yeah, I'll save it because we're not going to get Joel Lorenzi until 9:30.
We got a long one ahead.
I'll save this as we talk about the quarterback battle and the quarterback situation as it relates to Nebraska. And it's not just Nebraska. Look at Wisconsin. Look at Iowa. Look at Northwestern. As we look at this continuum as it relates to quarterbacks, do they need competition or do they need to operate in a no-fly comfort zone? That's coming up next.
You don't want to miss it.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream on Hail Varsity Radio with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning.
Hey, top of the hour here on Coffee and Cream in the morning on Hail Varsity Radio, powered by Currency. He's Damon Benning. I'm Andrew Rogers. We're live from the H&H Chevrolet stage at Hail Varsity Club. Thank you for joining us now in Lincoln if you are on KFOR. But if you've been listening to us the entirety of the way, whether it's live on Twitter, live on YouTube, or via 590 here in town, here in Omaha, we appreciate having you with us. Let's talk quarterbacks, DB, in the direction you were going.
By the way, all those good things I said about Severe yesterday. Good listener, easy to talk to, that kind of stuff. I take it all back.
Hey, dude's funny.
Didn't you say amazing cook, all that stuff?
Let's chill. Hey, by the way, my buddy. So no one of those guys I have a call like my friend, but I almost never see him. Right? But I talk to him probably almost in some capacity at least every other day. But sometimes
is he somebody that you'd allow to walk through your door during dinner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He asked if Shane was drunk.
Tell your friends and let's get drunk.
He said, "Is Shane drunk?" Yes, Shane is. But listen, so with the quarterback thing, because what you got to understand here is when it goes to obsess, it's not a negative, right? But oh God. I told him, I said, hit me up. I didn't think he would. Let me finish this real quick and then we'll take his call because this will be good. Okay, this will be good. So you go from compliant to compelled. Mm-hmm. Then there's this thing called obsessed. And I used to always and he can speak to this. I used to always talk to him about like Casey, where he has these mannerisms where you have to tell him to go home. Like, okay, we're good. You know, he's super fit and he's just chill, man. Like go home and relax. Like you don't have to know the next thing, right? Because in this spectrum, there's a fine line between compelled and obsessed. The distinct difference is obsessed people lose their sense of perspective as they become consumed with achieving a specific goal. So when you have to know scripted reps, what does it look like? And it's 3 or 4 months down the road. Like that can't shake you, right? They're telling you they want it to be a dogfight. They think it's a dogfight. Like they need you in this deal. But sometimes when people are obsessed, they don't have that ability to just leave it to chance. So when our next caller said, "Hey, this makes sense," and I'm like, "Not really." What I'm saying is the things that make him who he is aren't going away at the next 1 or 2 spots. I just happened to throw out Auburn because I had heard that they had called.
Yeah, there's rumor.
They had called, and nobody knew this at the time. I just used Auburn because they're like, "Hey, such and such called about Casey." You happen to know the family, right? So it's like, all right, I'll just use Auburn as an example. But that's not going away. You're not operating in the know. Like at some point, you got to let that go. As we welcome
in Michael Severe.
Oh Lord, what's up, buddy?
Hello, how are you doing? I haven't talked to Andrew since the video.
I know. I brought that up the other day, and I said, "Wow, Michael Severe. I think he actually started Hurrdat Sports."
Oh, that meltdown, the instant reaction.
Yeah, I didn't know Andrew and Ann at the time, and they're like, "Come sit here and start talking." And I was like, "Okay, whatever."
I got him fired up though. I got him fired up though because I said they should have hired Urban Meyer, and he's like, "They should have."
It's easy so to he do. Was in. My man's got some strong opinions. What's up, buddy?
I'm good. Go back to that Casey thing about saying it made sense only because he's got to be desperate at this point, right? I mean, his whole life, he probably wanted to be an NFL quarterback. If he's not going to play here, got to play someplace to put more on tape. I just felt the desperation and I got to go find someplace. So I thought that made sense that he would move on. I hope he stayed because there's no quarterback now in college football that plays all 12 games, right? So you're going to get a shot to get in. So I wish he'd have stayed, but I understand I got to go find a place to be me, to be QB1.
I like that.
Do you believe, Zone, that he so what is it when a guy is not fearful of competition, but he doesn't stick around to get it? Can you make sense of that when I describe what being obsessed means on this continuum? Like, can you describe how he's competitive, but he needed to know exactly how it was going to look?
It's weird because I always worry about the word fear because I never want to say college kids afraid of anything.
Right.
I think he's so smart, right, that I think he rationalizes his situation, and he's like, okay, even if I stay here, I'm behind him from the spring. This kid's bigger and stronger. They probably want a power run game. He fits that better. And in his mind, he realized, okay, this is probably not what I can win. I can't win here. I don't think that makes you afraid. I think that makes you, rational. And I have no problem with being rational.
Yeah,
I have never been an overly, and I know you don't, our relationship doesn't translate to this, but I've never been overly competitive when it came to sports. Like, I enjoyed sports and I loved playing, but I never went that next level of saying, I got to be great. I was never me. I just like to play. I like to have fun. I'm not Casey. Like, it's hard for me to even put myself in Casey's position because, I was the number 3 tennis player on our high school team. I never thought to myself, I got to be number 1. I just wanted to play. And so I could never put myself in the position he's in. But I do understand, after talking to all you guys, all these former Huskers I've had a chance to talk to, I do know that you have a different thing. Something in you is just different. You have this level of, I've got to be the best. I've got to be number 1. That's almost dangerous a little bit to you. It's why some of these guys end up becoming maybe drinking too much or maybe having problems in relationships because you can't turn it off. I'm happy that I don't have that sometimes, because the way I am, I'd probably be broke and homeless in a van by the river. But I get it. I get how you guys are. I can't relate because I was never that way, but that's the way Casey is, I think. And it makes it hard. It's going to make it hard his whole life on him, I think.
So let me ask you something, because I'm sorry if I cut you off.
No, go ahead.
You got to ask him something. We're going to steal your time here.
Well, I just like listening to him because he sounds like a legitimate guest that we have on the show. I mean, he's just that well spoken. I mean, we get Lance, and I can tell that he's a listener. But Severe, I'm like, man, I feel like I'm actually talking to an insider right now.
Severe's a professional. Listen, so answer me this though. So, like, when you're looking at this situation, and everybody has their opinions. AJ Allen, Stephon Wynn, and I think Coach Rule has to decide between, hey, if you're a 6th-year guy or you're a vet, I got to pit it against the young guys, whatever. How do you think they still promote competition if you're operating on, I got to set this culture year 1, I'm not going to compromise? Like, what's his answer or his curveball to making sure that it's still a competitive environment?
If you remember this, we had this conversation at the beginning of NIL, and it was during a crossover. And I remember I was standing up, and we were talking about how difficult it's going to be on coaches because I used to be able to tell you, this is the way it is. This is what you're going to do. And for the most part, you had to comply. Now it's so simple to just say, well, I'm just going to leave. I'm going to go someplace else. I'll find some greener grass. And I feel bad for these coaches because some of the things that were done to us, especially when I was coming up, when they didn't even give you water, the things that you did back then, you can't even think about now, right? I mean, you can't. Because now you're in a situation where guys are just going to leave. AJ Allen's the one that breaks my heart the most.
Me too.
I know that can be great.
Me too.
I know he can. And I think he wins this job. I mean, the most complete guy in terms of everything he does, in terms of, I think personally is Grant, only because I think he has the ability to be great, but the guy can't find the hole. I don't think he's great in pass pro. So AJ Allen would eventually been number 1 if he just stuck it out, I think. That one breaks my heart. But I get where AJ Allen is now. He's looking at all these other kids. They're leaving. They're going in the portal. Why shouldn't I do it? And he waited to the last possible day, so it must have been a tough decision. Go ahead.
You're smart. I listen. I'm just saying you become very good over the last 20 years or whatever of just reading the room, right? Just reading, just the good deductive reasoning, right? Like, you don't wait as long as he did and have it be. I mean, they took the green and yellow jersey off him at the last minute, but he's so competitive, he wanted to scrimmage, and he didn't take care of the ball. Now, they can't turn a blind eye to not taking care of the ball because he's seen what happens to guys that turn the ball over in practice, right? So they can't just say, hey, it's all good, back pat. They got to get into him a little bit, right?
How mentally strong is he? Because so he had 2 plays before that. He caught the pass out of the backfield, which was very productive, and he had a nice, I think, 6-yard run. Then the fumble happened, and he never was the same. Do you think he wasn't the same because he just wasn't playing well, or because the fumble haunted him and he couldn't be what he wanted to be the rest of the game?
I think because when you're in the heat of the moment and he's young and you know what the rules of the game are, and you just broke one of the rules. Like, so then you feel like you have to make up for it some way, shape, or form, because, you know, he's not experienced enough to know what it means to just flush it, come out of the other end. I think he's the type of person that's like, man, I know I'm going to have to hear about this. Like, it's already a close competition. How am I going to shake this? That's just my opinion, but I think that's what happened.
You're going to fumble. It was a good defensive play. Both Irvin and his fumble. They were just good defensive plays. Even the Ty Hahn fumble got punched out. That's a good defensive play. And you just got to go to the next play.
Hey, and how many guys, because I know you're neurotic with this, is how many guys were involved in those turnovers? More than one, right?
I know. Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny, that first one, because I thought originally it was Gage Stinger in the first one. And then I went back and I watched the replay and I was like, one guy got hit up top, then the hit came down by the hip, and that's when the ball came flying out. The other two were just one guy making a play. Stinger on Ty Hahn was a great hit. You know, he just didn't put the ball away fast enough. But I loved what I saw defensively in terms of them going after the ball and being violent. We haven't seen that kind of violence in spring game. You got to go back to probably, you know, before Bo. You just don't see that kind of violence. It was great to see.
Yeah, ball on the ground. There were 10 people
Yeah,
trying
it
to
was
jump
like,
onto it. Yeah. I want to go back on one thing, Michael. When we were talking about Casey and being obsessed and like not being able to turn it off, it also had me thinking a little bit of Coach Rule. Like, is it cool for Coach Rule to also be pulled into that same category? Is it a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Because he's somebody that I mean, you look at social media,
he definitely walks the fine line between compelled and obsessed.
He's up before the sun's up, and he is leaving UNL at midnight.
Did you see his tweet today? Day by day means day by
Every
day.
day.
Yeah.
Day by day.
Day after day after day.
Yeah. Well, listen, here's the weird thing about him. The greatest thing to ever happen to that man is failure, right?
Yep.
Think about that.
That's how
now he understands that there's times I'm going to not work. I mean, the first 2 jobs he had, it eventually worked and he left with better jobs. Carolina probably was the best thing for him. I think all coaches are absolutely obsessed. I think it's the only way you can do it. If you're not obsessed with when you're a coach, I don't think you can win in college football anymore. I just can't. It's a 24-hour, it's 365. There's no time off. There's no break that you used to have. You're constantly working the portal. You're constantly trying to keep guys on your team. I think it's fine to be that way. You're going to die young. That's just what these coaches do usually, unless they get out early like Tom Osborne did. He got out early. You know, it probably saved his life. But I don't have a problem with him being obsessed.
So let me get you out of here on this, because we've argued about this for years, and I still, full disclosure, I'm not saying like you won. I'm indifferent about whether quarterbacks need to feel like they don't have to compete necessarily. You had a great text. You said that it's called QB1, not QB 2 halves. Are you just not Is Sims in a position where you feel comfortable that he's not going to lose his job, or do you think Coach Rule and that staff will create a culture within their culture that doesn't allow him to rest?
See, here's the thing about being a quarterback, and you know this, you did it in high school, in my limited time doing it in high school. You're competing against yourself every practice to be perfect, right? Every time they want you to do a 3-step drop or a 5-step drop or a double read, or you're just going to do this side of the field, you're constantly competing yourself. So if you're passionate enough about the position, you're getting your competition against yourself every day. My problem with it sometimes is when you're splitting reps for the ones, I don't think that person has a chance to be competitive on every rep because he's on the bench or he's watching from the sideline. I just believe you got to name a quarterback one and roll with him. If he loses the job, he loses the job. But he's got to be number one 95% of the reps, I think. That's how you become great.
All right, I promise you, I'll get you out of here on this. So, like, let's say, like, hypothetically, if Casey, we're in this obsessed thing, right? Let's say he says to the staff or or whatever, his circle is like, man, I want everything graded, right? Going back to Brooke and T. Phrase, right? But it was Coach Osborne that actually said everything will be graded, and both players like, okay, cool. If let's say Casey proposes that, and the staff, even though they think it's a good idea, but they don't want to relinquish or relent, like who's the alpha? Hey, we're the staff. We'll relax, buddy. Like, we'll tell you how to do it. Are you okay with that?
Man, if a player came to me and told me that, I'd be so excited. I probably would acquiesce to him. I'd be like, yeah, you're right. That's a great idea. That's what I would want to do. When you want your kid to come to you and tell you that, I want to be graded on everything I do, Dad. I would be happy about that. That's a kid who understands what competition is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
I think it just comes in the same sense. You got to understand failure. Like you can have that desire, but as long as you have the understanding too.
Okay, so maybe this says more about me. I fib. There's one more thing. Maybe this says more about me. But remember when I told you forever, because you do know me probably better than anybody. I said, the one reason I wouldn't go back to college is because I don't want to have to be on every day.
Oh yeah, that's why you like high school so much,
right? So there's this sense in me when I hear you, it's like on the surface, like I want to be critiqued, but do you really want to be critiqued on everything you do? Like, is that healthy?
Well, this goes back to being in the news, right? Every single day you walked in and there was nothing, right? And at the end of the day, you would produce 2 or 3 stories, and that's what you produced. And then the next day again, there was nothing. And then what you do again? You produce 2 or 3 stories. I like that. I like the idea of having to be right on and do it well every time you do it. I don't have a problem with that. It's different though. Again, I could never relate to the position you were in. All those guys there you were competing against, knowing that if one thing went wrong, you go from 1 to 4 in a depth chart like that. I could not relate to that. But I do like in the job, I like to be graded. I like to have somebody over me saying, hey, this is the way it should be, and I correct it. I enjoy that. Especially when it comes to news, man. That's what all news was creating something new every day and then starting over again the next day. The newspaper is blank in the morning, and by the end of the day, it's full. That's what I loved about that. I can relate that to sports in a way.
Hey, you sound like you've done this before, so anytime you want to break us off one, I'm here for it.
Thank you, Andrew, for ruining my life.
Hey, thank you for benefiting ours.
Hey, man, love you, bro. Be good.
Later, guys.
See you, Michael. That's Michael Severe.
I told you, man. He gets a bad rap. He's a fantastic listener.
Mm-hmm. I'd say too. I mean, I think his follower count went up after that.
Dude,
maybe it did help. It was just a bad couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks.
Dude, guys went all in on him. But he's like Teflon Don, though.
That's tough on everybody.
He just when you go through what he's been through with his boys and keeping the marriage afloat during super stressful times with the kids, which Lord willing never happens to anybody, just to keep ticking like Timex, like you become. I'm telling you, man, that's Teflon Don. The dude just figures it out.
He's always got great stories, like great lawnmower.
So that's what I was saying yesterday, right? So the difference between one of the reasons why I can talk to him about groceries to marriage is he's got some story. Like, when I went through, and so and I'm not saying it's like word is bond, but at least you have something to compare to. I still don't know if we've landed the plane on where you want your quarterback situation, though.
That's what I was just about to say. I'm like, so after all we've done in the past
I don't have like the
3
right
segments, do you have an answer? Do you have an answer of what you want?
So let me read you the second part of this obsession, right? So you become consumed with achieving a specific goal. You drive yourself crazy physically and mentally by overworking both in and out. You are highly committed. They just don't have you typically somewhere along the lines lose the traits to be a team leader, because even below the surface, it's still about you. Do you think that describes CT when I was talking about this yesterday? Because I'm just spitballing real time.
Right.
It seems like, because I put it against everything I've been saying since he's been here. But I still think that can be used for good. That's why I'm not here for the Thompson slander, because it is such a fine line.
Yeah, you're not here to disregard, his balance, right? You're not here to take anything away.
The disregarding of balance is ultimately the key. Like that's the benchmark that I think a coach or a boss or whatever will. When you lose balance, I think as a coach, you kind of can become fearful, or a boss. Will this be good for my culture if he or she doesn't get what they want? Right? Like, isn't that the ultimate barometer?
Right. So now with the two guys in the room, where do you land?
Well, but don't you want the results to matter?
Right.
So the worst player to coach for me is the kid where the results don't matter. I'd rather have somebody be all out or all in. When people are indifferent about the results, I'm telling you, you're in trouble. You're in trouble.
With any player, with any position.
You are absolutely. So I wasn't getting on him. I was mad because Caleb showed up to a game late, right? And
what's late? Like later than the call time, or
when the game started?
Okay.
First time in 17 years. I was mortified. Huge game. His coach really wanted to kind of, I think, use this as a galvanizing game because they were in their fields, and so I'm pretty upset, and I wanted the coaches to use him as an example of ownership,
as you do with both of your sons.
So he and I were talking after, and I said, "Listen, man," and the word selfish came up, and he said, "Listen, our problem. This is him. Our problem isn't that we're operating selfishly. We need to be more selfless, where we do things for other people, even though it makes us uncomfortable." I'm like, why didn't you just? I'm like, I think I just learned something from my 17-year-old, right? But that's what I think this whole thing revolves around. Sometimes being selfless means I got to get out of my comfort zone for something else that's going to benefit the greater good,
the group,
and then be okay with it. But how do you balance the results still mattering?
Joel Lorenzi next.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 5 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio.
Outlet pass off over to Murray. Murray back on the point over to Nikola Jokic. Jokic hands it off over to Murray. Turns the corner. Bounce pass Jokic. In the corner, KC3. Got it again! KCP showing up big! Nuggets are in the lead by 3.
Whatever, former Laker, I might add that I told you they should have re-signed, but that's okay.
You did.
We like the Lakers bench.
You did.
Real time. They should have re-signed KCP. That's okay.
Now you get to watch him play for another team.
It's all right. The de facto West champion right there. Suns, Nuggets.
Yeah, you said that. We'll see, though. We will see. I'm going to ask Joel.
Well, first of all, ask him how his taper is doing, considering he's been parlaying at the barbershop all morning.
Joel, welcome. Thanks for still taking some time out of your busy day. How's the new do?
No, it's valid, man. I love my barber, man. I actually just got out the chair like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, still fresh. Still smell fresh. Listen,
man, DB, you know how it gets, man. DB, you know, what's it called? I told you, I don't even remember what time I told you we was going to have to call.
So that was like 8:20 maybe?
Man, you know how these barbers get, man.
Mm-hmm. Listen,
they're always lying about the time, dog. Always want to talk and wait clippers around. Like, damn. Like,
no less than 45 minutes.
Listen, I'm black. I get it.
right.
Hey, I'm not, and I get
it.
Hey, so how did you God, I hate to butt into the time by asking this. How'd you find a barber so quick that you trust?
Just looking around, seeing who, like, the people I've met, like, or like players, like who they would post stuff like that. So
yeah.
Come on, man. I'm a journalist. I got the all-seeing eyes. I'll be watching, bro.
All right. So where did you end up going? Can we give him a shout out?
Yeah, I'll be going to Ace of Phase. I'll be going to my boy Saul. He mad cool, and he be getting me right, man.
Is that close to Old Market?
Ace of Phase.
Is that close to Old Market?
No, don't let me start lying to you. You know I don't know my way around here like that.
I think I've driven by it. I think I have.
Yeah, it is. It's on South 13th.
Looky there.
Very good.
Up top. I don't know what the most popular street is in Omaha, but I do know where Ace of Fades is located.
Yeah, it's
got to be Dodge, right? From what I feel like it's got to be Dodge.
Somebody once said that.
Yeah,
it wasn't me.
Yeah, Andrew does not know that Dodge is the busiest street in the city. Hey, so let me. I gotta go rapid fire here because Creighton's got folks on campus, and is it a fit when you're looking at his visit coming over from Memphis yesterday and what else Creighton needs? Does that give you any insight into how you think this roster may eventually turn out?
Yeah, I mean, I think they know they're looking for some type of wing, and I think Lawson fits that bill. Just a young, talented, potential two-way player with potential, like oozing potential. I think, I can say I'm old enough now to where I done seen Jonathan Lawson's older brothers. I remember when Jonathan Lawson's older brothers were playing. I think his oldest brother was a year older than me back in high school. And then probably his most successful brother, Dedrick Lawson, was maybe a year or two below me, probably the year below me, maybe even my grade. So the Lawsons are, that's a staple family out there, man. Like, that's like, I don't even know if I can find a comparable family to them, but they got a long line of hoopers and, his measurements, kind of the way they trusted him down the stretch in his first college season last year. Like, there's a lot to like about Jonathan Lawson. Obviously, people who aren't, so keen to the idea that, he jumped around schools a lot in high school and decommitted from Oregon, whatever. But based on the mold they're looking for, I don't think they've had a player, especially on that bench last year, quite like Lawson and, what he can be.
Joel, 3 guys in the draft, 2 Alexander and Kalkbrenner maintaining college eligibility just in case. If they return, you obviously feel good, but if only one returned, who would you rather have?
Probably Kalkbrenner, so your defense doesn't fall off a cliff. But realistically, you want Kalkbrenner and Trey Alexander back. I think that's kind of what they're betting on, and obviously, those are the two that it seems like they're building around. They're pretty confident that both will be able to, be in that range to where, like, they're not hearing anything guaranteed, and they end up coming back. And I mean, for his worth, it feels like Kalkbrenner, out of the two of them, Kalkbrenner really enjoys Creighton in college still, so that wouldn't be the big shock in the world. But yes, I think Kalkbrenner is the guy that obviously was the best player on the team last year. Even though you're probably looking at giving Trey Alexander the key as the first option next year, and how much of a scoring load he'll take on. Kalkbrenner is a walking defense. Like, this is why they were a top 15 defense. I mean, this man in drop coverage, he looked the part of an NBA player in drop. I'll say that. So that's the guy you want to retain, if anything. But I think it's 1A, 1B with those two.
So when you're looking at the rest of the Big East, and I still think there's some moves to have happen. And I know full well 3 out of the 16 teams in the Sweet 16 were represented by the conference. You ready to say that the Big East could be better in 2023-24 than 2022-2023?
Man, I gotta see. St. John's got to move a limb, man. Like, they've been a dead body. I don't know what. I mean, Rick Pitino, and I don't know if it's his staff or what. Because a guy that old, you bring him on for legendary insight and in-game coaching. You don't bring him on to recruit. That old dude is not going to recruit. He got to have the perfect staff around him. And frankly, from what I've seen, they have not done a great job recruiting. I mean, they barely moved an inch. Shaheen Holloway. You want to talk about somebody who hasn't moved an inch? Good gosh, Shaheen Holloway. I'm about to call up there and see if he's still working, man. Like, for real. That's the guy I was rooting for because I watched those St. Peter's teams in Indy in the tournament, and they haven't made a single move, and they needed to because they needed to build on that team last year. So I look at the bottom of the league, and it's probably going to be just as bad. Not saying St. John's ends up there because Rick Pitino is Rick Pitino, and it's still a long summer. But
Butler has to be better, don't they?
Yeah, Butler, I think is probably better right now. Because I mean, Rick Pitino gave the boot to all of Mike Anderson's dudes, like even down to I'm blanking on his name right now, but they lost everybody, man. And the guys they're bringing in are not overwhelming. Yes, and so they lost everybody. The guys they're bringing in are not overwhelming. Now the top half of the league is looking elite again. Like it's going to be probably super, super tough. And the middle of the league might be better when it all shakes out. So maybe I'll link. It looks similarly good. I'm on board with saying that.
Hey, I want to get into NBA real fast before we let you go.
Smart job.
Would you say, and this is something DB and I went back and forth about yesterday, would you say it's a lock that whomever wins the Denver-Phoenix series will represent the West in the finals?
I don't know about a lock because I think that last series will be competitive. I think if the Warriors are able to beat the Lakers, then it's not a lock. The Lakers look pretty tough right now, and I don't want to count the Warriors out just yet. So that's a team. I mean, like we talk about it, like championship DNA. It's not something that is underrated, man. I mean, some people probably use that too much in arguments, but I think it's fair here. Down the stretch, I think a lot of that showed in that final game in that King series. And come out, and I mean the way Steph Curry's played this year, and you know in his postseason so far, it's really hard.
He's stupid.
Hey, are we really going to act like we didn't just see playoff Harden last night? Like you had to chuckle, right? Philly, and I know you're not at the window, but Philly was catching 10 points, no Embiid. And Harden has officially ditched the fat suit and was like, look, man, Jason Tatum is a stat sheet stuffer. They don't win anything meaningful. How about that?
I don't know if he completely ditched the fat suit, but we don't gotta not talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's scream it on the airwaves. James Harden is back for at least one game, man. We like the vintage Harden, man. They're gonna need a lot of that, though. I don't know. All I'll say is Boston better hope Embiid don't come back. I mean, I know they'll make the right adjustments, but if Embiid comes back, even hurt, it's a problem.
Joel, thanks, man. We appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Fantastic, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Rogers and Benning will be back in 4 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 3 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 2 minutes. Rogers and Benning will be back in 1 minute. Rogers and Benning will be back in 30 seconds. Coffee and Cream with Rogers and Benning on Hail Varsity Radio. Time now for the Sports Six-Pack on Coffee and Cream with Andrew Rogers and Damon Benning. Presented by Zipline Brewing Company, makers of Dear Old Nebraska Brew, the official beer of Nebraska alumni.
Man, I need a beer, and I may be drinking a Zipline beer tonight. I have slow pitch softball at 9:30. What a horrible time. A horrible time to hit the ball field.
Yeah, horrible time.
9:30.
It's okay. So that's 2 now that you've had at 9:30.
Well, the other one got moved up to 8:30.
Oh, okay.
But I have back-to-back 9:30 games now, this week and next.
Better get your sleep game right.
You might as well be watching West Coast hockey.
Yeah, you might as well be watching the Lakers and Golden State.
Or
Shane.
that
What are you talking about? Your abs are out of it.
You don't
beat it, Marty.
Kraken are still playing West Coast.
They're in the Central though to start. They play in Dallas.
What's wrong with your crack? How do you say it again? What are they called again? The Seattle what?
The butt cracking.
Yep, that's it. That's it. And now I really need a beer. How about you check out the Beer Lounge? Zipline's Beer Lounge boasts oversized lounge chairs, in which we have cushion chairs here. So the Beer Lounge is...
Which are suction to your Kraken.
Mm-hmm, which are suction to the Kraken. We just don't have a full-service lending library here. Or maybe we do because we were reading the Commitment Continuum today. But check out the Beer Lounge. It's a great environment for a beer, a game, a read, or a chat.
Man.
Question number 1.
What's wrong with you, man?
Can we revisit the Big Five or the butt cracking or the field? Or better yet...
I don't think our listener asked that question.
Can you make a prediction on who will lead the second round in goals?
Oh.
That's a great question.
Goals scored? Yeah, goals scored. Yeah, we already talked a little bit about the Big Five today. There's 2 left, and it's the Maple Leafs and the Hurricanes. And I'll tell you this, I don't feel comfortable about either.
Well, I feel great.
Yeah, you do, because you have, 4 other teams?
I'm going to take Draisaitl.
As the leader?
Yeah.
I may go out on a limb here.
Go ahead.
Let's go with Jason Robertson.
Oh, I want to go from off the radar because FanDuel is giving me plus 260 for him to lead the league in scoring.
I didn't need an eye roll. I didn't sign up for that, DB, when I gave out Robertson's name.
What are you getting? Plus 360? Because I know it revolves around that, degenerate. What is it? Talk to me.
I don't know if you can bet on the leader in goals in the
You
second
probably
round.
can, knowing
I'm
you.
Sure.
You
I'm
got some
sure.
buddies?
I got to go find it. I don't know yet. Tomorrow I'll come back with the answer.
Dude, you're so sick with it, too. Hey, what are we doing for the Kentucky Derby? We got a guy? Yeah. Yes, Andrew, we got a guy booked for Friday.
Oh, I got to tell you my best Kentucky Derby story later. And I'll save it for the show. We'll do it in the next six-pack on Thursday.
Wowzer. We got you covered, man. Mm-hmm. We're like, who's a degenerate? Andrew. That's right. You, my mom, and my buddy Kevin. We're going to get you guys.
All degenerates?
Listen, my mom may be the best horse handicapper you know.
I'm hanging out with her then.
Go ahead. She's open house. It's brand new.
Well, that's why you leave your door open if it's an open house for her too.
She is unbelievable. I can't even remember what races were happening 3 weeks ago. I was over there whining about something, and she's like watching the
random horse racing.
Super random.
Yeah, I watched that the
this
other
was
month.
like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, they're on grass. What are we doing?
Mm-hmm. Pretty sick.
I think it was on NBC. I can't even remember what it was. But yeah, she was front row. Right there, propped up on her couch. I said, go ahead then, Mom.
I'm for it.
Yeah, whatever.
Team your mom.
I didn't say it.
Question number 2.
Coach Rule is all about competition, yet you can't really develop chemistry until battles are won and players are solidified. When do you think that'll be, and do you believe chemistry has taken a hit because of long-term competition of roles?
No. I think you can have chemistry while you're being competitive. Chemistry is what makes competitiveness peak.
Makes competitiveness fun too, because these guys wouldn't be running sprints to compete against one another if they didn't like each other. Yeah. And you like each other because you have chemistry with a person.
Yeah, you're not carrying Teddy Prohaska
now,
if you don't want to compete.
1,000%. I'm not carrying Teddy Prohaska at all, ever. Ever. Team chemistry, though, I will say this. I mean, when you look at like the X's and O's of the game, like the actual game script and how you want to play, like, yeah, you have to have solidified position so you know, like, hey, this is how my quarterback plays. But you also have to be able to adjust to multiple players at different positions if somebody goes down with an injury. So chemistry's always got to be there. But in some way, I would say it could take a hit if you don't solidify. I'm not going to say soon because you have plenty of time right now. But
we've got time.
You do need to have somebody as number ones in every role to have the best chemistry.
Question number 3.
What is the best sports game you've ever attended?
In Minneapolis, the Lakers upset the T-Pups with Kevin Garnett and company at the Target Center. It was 04-05. I even took home a mini purple Timberwolves basketball.
Ever attended? I don't want to like latch on to my hometown here. I want to go.
But of course, that's what you'll do.
No, I'm going to go somewhere different.
Okay, where are we going? Punta Cana?
That'd be sick if I watch like Dominican baseball down there.
No.
Probably some.
Did you see anybody playing stickball or not on the resorts because it was for all
no, but I did
people?
See goats walking on the highway.
Life is a highway.
So one of the guys there, his name was Mr. Ferrari.
You can't be a goat if you don't live a little.
Listen to this. One of the guys there was Mr. Ferrari, and it wasn't his real name, Shane.
No, I didn't think it was his government.
So they didn't call him like F40 or anything?
He's apparently in the Marlins system.
Really?
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't poo-poo the name Mr. because I know a Mr. and it's his government name.
No, there was also a guy named Coca-Cola. It was a fake name.
No, Mr.
No, Mr. Askew.
Best game I've ever attended. How about
very athletic family?
It was the year the Caps won the Stanley Cup. I was in D.C. and I caught the Caps. I don't remember.
That's unfortunate.
Who were they playing?
So you had to watch Ovi?
It was just a cool environment. Like I really enjoyed that game.
Did you have fun watching Ovechkin drink Stolies? Woohoo, Ovi. Ooh, championship Caps.
Hey, you should play in the Waterbury Open tomorrow. Yeah, okay, I'll see you there.
You went with an Ovechkin reference sitting next to a Pins guy. That's awesome. Prefer you go back to your hometown and do something bluey.
Let me just sneak under the table here.
I'm surprised you didn't go Beltran, hosing a guy, send it to extras, and then having the game-winning hit.
Gosh.
Oh, God, that Ovechkin, man. When the Cavs won the cup, man, that was great. DB. Yeah, okay.
Cool. I'm going to look at you like this the whole time.
Whatever.
It's like that one meme kid.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Hope you guys
move on, Shane.
Hope you guys get to the 60 win total.
Question number 4.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised were you when Nebraska volleyball sold out Memorial Stadium?
I'm going to say I was surprised. So how surprised was I? 8.
I wasn't surprised. I know people were like blown away, but
the reason I say 8, that's a lot of people. Like I did not expect 80 to 90,000 people there. I know the state loves volleyball. I know it. I know how passionate
they love competing.
That
the
is
state loves competing.
Yeah, and
once
to have
they
record.
made the tickets affordable, and it's a thing.
I get it.
That's Nebraska.
I get it, but I was still shocked that you could bring 80, 90,000 people there for a grouping of volleyball matches.
For a chance to be the best.
Hey, you bring up a great point with competing to have that record.
That's their fan base.
I didn't think through it like that, but to have all those people there, good on the stage.
I mean, it's impressive. It's tremendous, but I am not.
I was definitely shocked when I saw it.
I get a 65 when they first announced it. Dude, they sold out Central City in 20 minutes.
Well, Central City's, of course, a smaller venue. They sold out Memorial Stadium in like 2 hours.
20 minutes. For an exhibition.
I know how nuts this fan base is about volleyball. I know it. I'm not trying to diminish that.
No, it's a heck of an accomplishment, but I wasn't shocked. No, sir.
Question number 5.
What is the most embarrassing sports moment you've ever experienced?
I shot a confetti cannon off at a high school basketball game and it stopped play, and I got kicked out. That's pretty embarrassing.
Fumbled twice in a matter of 8 plays on national television. Lost one, got one back, and was benched. That one is so easy. Let's not ever ask it again in our lifetime.
The end. Moving on.
Question number 6.
I'm better for it.
Wow.
Jerks.
You said it.
How do you
I had to
think?
be honest.
How do you think Aaron
I'm for
Eulis will compare to the production we saw out of Sam Griesel last year?
Eulis is a fantastic pickup. He has started 27 of the 32 games for Iowa, where defense was optional. I'm pretty happy. Nebraska's done a fantastic job in the portal after all the doom and gloom of Wright, Sell, and Salas, one of those guys you were never going to get. I'm happy with Nebraska's offseason, man. They did a good job of addressing needs. And you could get Andrew's favorite guy back, the Japanese Steph Curry.
Yes, sir.
Keisei Tominaga.
Ball handling is better, I would say, with Eulis. He likes to finish with speed. Griesel was more of a, hey, let me get into the paint and back you down. So I don't know if you'll see much of that. He's good with the pull-up off the dribble, finds his spot. But I think what you'll miss, especially with Sam Griesel, is his ability to rebound. And also, it's an IQ thing.
Yeah. I'm encouraged, even though I love
Thank you, Shane,
SG.
for the questions. Thank you, Zipline. We'll be back tomorrow.